Good evening and welcome to the Raw Feed. I'm Gary Franchi coming to you live from deep in the swamp in Washington, D.C., where I've spent all day crushing it at the White House. That's right, I'm still here in our nation's capital witnessing history firsthand on day 59, week 9 of President Donald Trump reclaiming the White House, and what a day it's been. Coming up in this show, I will have a live exclusive interview with Travis Gilmore from the Epoch Times about the Bombshell JFK files that have been uncovered. Now, wait till you find out. Travis has information that has not been reported. You guys will be the first to hear it, okay? He's sharing it all on the Raw Feed. He's been at the archives in Washington, D.C., the National Archives, literally going through the JFK files page by page and taking photographs, and we have them all here. And he's in studio to talk about it. Just say hi real quick. Oh, hang on, where'd it go? There it is.
Hi. Thanks for the invitation, Gary. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's going to be great. I can't wait. Now, he's going to share it here with us on the Raw Feed. You are not going to want to miss this groundbreaking conversation. And you know, it's becoming increasingly clear that in America we're living in today, it's fundamentally different from the one we inhabited just a couple months ago. The transformation is happening at breakneck speed, and we are going to cover it all tonight, unfiltered, uncensored, and without apology, because that's what the Raw Feed's about. We're streaming live right now to millions of viewers across YouTube, Rumble, and X, and let me tell you something. The tech oligarchs hate it. They don't want you to see this broadcast. They have deployed armies of sensors and algorithms designed specifically to bury what we are about to discuss. So do me a favor, grab your phone right now and text this link to everyone you know. That's how we bypass their algorithms, person to person. It's how the truth spreads. So tonight I'm going to bring you 5 explosive stories the mainstream media is either ignoring or actively suppressing. First, we have Trump's bold economic moves that are putting America back on track with historic investments in U.S. manufacturing. Nvidia just announced hundreds of billions of dollars coming into American shores. And then, of course, we're going to talk about the shocking revelations about the JFK assassination files in the exclusive interview with Travis from the Epoch Times. They have bombshell transcripts, and it's going to change everything we thought we knew about what happened in Dallas on that fateful day. And then we have the wave of left-wing domestic terrorism targeting Tesla that Democrats are pretending isn't happening. When the Daily Show audience starts applauding violence, you know we've crossed into dangerous territory. We'll also cover President Trump's historic executive order to close the Department of Education, a move that returns power to the states where it belongs and fulfills a promise 45 years in the making. And finally, the new war on the food industry, as Secretary RFK Jr., while we were talking about the Kennedys today, and his HHS target toxic dyes in vaccines, exposing a criminal profit model that has been poisoning Americans for generations. Between segments, we'll be reading your super chats and Rumble rants live on the air. Your comments will be featured on screen for the world to see. That's right. While other networks talk at you, we talk with you. It's because your voice matters here. But let me be perfectly clear about something. The show only exists because of your support. The powers that be would love nothing more than to shut us down. They've tried, and they'll keep trying. So if you value what we do, please consider making a donation. You'll find the links in the description below. And of course, we have our channel memberships with exclusive perks at different support levels. You can join up and you'll receive special acknowledgement in the chat room and gain exclusive access to the Next News team, our Discord chat room that's always active for you guys to communicate, and exclusive behind the scenes videos you won't see published anywhere. And don't forget to check out our merch shop at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com, where you can get exclusive Next News gear to show the world where you get your real news. So settle in, Patriots. The Raw Feed starts now, and trust me, you are not going to want to miss a single minute of it. Now let's welcome you to the show. Who is in the house tonight? We've got Stupid JL, Keel for Real, Carla already dropping $1.99 in the super chats. What's up, Carla? Thank you. And we've got Beverly. We've got Jeremy Franklin. Who else is here? We've got Heather Reeve. We got Chris, not a bot. Bob is here. He's on X. Oh, wow. Looks like X comments are now incorporated. How cool is that? Jennifer's here, and Heather Reeve, Jeremy Olson, 3% prepper. Get any sleep, Gary? No. Did you guys see my message in Discord at 2:30 this morning? Like, the adrenaline was still raging through my body. This place is quite addictive. Let's see. Gary B's a legend. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate that. What else we got? We got Bella Stubblefield and Jean Gero and Cindy watching in New York. What's up, Cindy? We got Mike Mitchell, Patricia Duff. We've got Beverly Harward. We got the real Mrs. Rich in the house. We got Penny Berg, John, Gen X, Terry K. Gary, are you BitBoy's younger brother? I don't know who BitBoy is. I'm assuming that's an insult. We've got Victor, Jeanette, Robert, Teresa. Everybody's in the house. Okay, now we got to get to the story that you guys want to hear, because Travis has got the bombshells and he's about to drop them. Okay, so buckle up. 62 years. That's how long the deep state has been hiding the truth about who really killed President John F. Kennedy and why. But today, that wall of secrecy is finally crumbling. The Trump administration has released thousands of pages of documents related to the assassination, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. Everyone's kind of upset. Even my guest, who's sitting right here with me, he initially saw the documents that came out and he said, there's nothing here. And he said, I'm going to go find them. I'm going to find the documents. I'm talking about Travis Gilmore, direct from the Epoch Times, exclusive access to James Angleton's testimony to the Church Committee, which is considered the holy grail for JFK researchers. And Angleton wasn't just any CIA officer. He was the head of counterintelligence, the man who knew where the bodies were buried. Now, as we step into 2025, though, one thing is clear: de-dollarization is not stopping. It's accelerating. China and other BRICS nations are scared of President Trump, and it's making them more determined to reduce their dependence on the U.S. dollar and establish themselves as global economic superpowers. Their secret weapon is gold. In fact, China resumed buying gold. And you know what's even more telling? They underreport their buys. Doesn't it make you wonder why? They recognize its global value and ability to withstand economic shocks, but gold is a global asset with innate value. It's tangible, relatable, reliable, and immune to economic manipulation. China and other BRICS countries, they want to be prepared. They just don't want you to know it. But this isn't just about nations. It's about you. So make sure you go to nextnewsgold.com or call the number 877-646-5347 and make sure you can get 10 free silver coins when you invest. Tell them Gary Franchi sent you. And now, for the first time ever, Travis is here, and he is going to reveal what Angleton told Congress behind closed doors. Travis, welcome to the Raw feed.
Thanks so much, Gary.
Wow. Okay, I'm really excited for this because we were both at the White House on the day the JFK filed. We were waiting all day, and everyone's like, what, did they drop? Did they drop? Did they drop? And of course, they drop them like 6 o'clock at night when everyone's pretty much going home. And then I think we spoke the next day. And what was your, and before we get into the deep stuff, what was your initial reaction that you told me?
So initial reaction was not good. And what we saw about 7 p.m. Eastern time we got about 1,100 PDF links put up on the National Archives website. And President Trump had been promising us 80,000 documents. So initially the thought was, are there really 80,000 documents in these 1,100 links? We start going through all these digitized documents. These are open to the public. So we're all pouring through them and not impressed. Like a lot of things that could be misinformation, a lot of stuff that's essentially supporting the narrative, and a lot of irrelevant, redundant. Many of these scans are completely illegible. When you go to look at it, even though it's technically digitized, it's worthless. You can't see anything even there. And then there's no organization. There's no structure to this. You can't search by keyword. You can't do there's no way to actually find what you need to find. Well, then about 10:30 p.m., they dumped another 1,000 links, essentially. So now we have about 2,100 PDFs. These represent about 63,000 files. So I was disappointed. Not that none of us are expecting a smoking gun, but we are looking for transparency here. Like you said, it's been 62 years. It's time we get to see this.
So I felt that there was going to be poison pills peppered throughout that were going to just further the official narrative. And you felt the same way?
Absolutely. And then, exactly. And the redundancies on these things, it's like where they're almost trying to overwhelm the researcher, where you give up. You just keep looking through these things. And there's so much at one time. So much of it's irrelevant. But I went and asked the White House, what's going on? Because I know Trump's on. He's been campaigning on this forever. We know he wants transparency here. And so I just asked. It looks like 60,000 documents, told there's 80,000. And you and I both have excellent relationships with the press secretaries, which it's amazing at the White House, the access that we have.
It really is.
And they just told me they're there, but you've got to go get them. You got to go to the archives and do the work. So I was there yesterday at the White House and missed the briefing. I took that as a signal. I need to get to the archives and find this stuff. And it takes time. They're only open 9 to 5. They have these.
And you were there for like the entire day.
I was there yesterday and then the
and
entire
today.
day today. Yes. I showed up as soon as they opened the doors this morning. I was there. They shuttled me over. So the main National Archives, where they keep our founding documents, they don't really keep a lot of stuff there. So there's some genealogy things and there's some stuff there. And then you have to really, you got to put in the work. So they shuttle me off to another location. You get there and you start talking to the archivists that are actually the experts in this JFK material. And what I found out today was that they're not ready for this. While Trump has definitely declassified it, everything is available, they're not prepared. These items are still behind locked stacks. There's different information depending on who you talk to as to what's actually available. When I first got there, they told me I needed to file FOIA. And I know you don't need Freedom of Information Act for a declassified document. And so I just pushed and said, no, I don't need FOIA. I was actually sent here by the White House. And we started going up the chain. So they take me to another archivist who can't help me. And then we get to the records director and to the division chief and to the bureau chief. And then we have real access. Now they're telling me, if you can tell me what you want, I'll go get it. That then starts the second conundrum. How do you know what you don't know? All we know is that there's 17,000 documents. As you said, this one's a holy grail, so I went after it first. When I first got to the bureau chief, I told her, this is the document I want first. It took them hours. I assumed I wasn't going to get it, thought I was going to have to come tell you some pity story about what had really happened, but they showed up with it. And then they're really earnest. They came to me and said, you're ahead of the curve. We knew people would be coming. We weren't thinking it was going to be this fast. And the documents, while they're open, they're not available to the public yet, really. When you pull some of these documents, there's still redactions. So I basically worked out an agreement with the director there that, well, if I find the redacted document, can you get me the original? So we're essentially helping each other. I'm trying to help the archive, trying to help any other researcher that comes after me so that these documents will all be available. And we've got this plan worked out. So I found dozens and dozens of redacted documents today that I've then submitted back to them, which they'll give me in the morning. I also have thousands of documents I've already requested, which they lock these JFK files behind locked stacks. So not every.
So what is this picture here?
So this is just one of the carts that I was dealing with today. So you're looking at thousands of documents here in these different boxes,
And these are the JFK files.
These are some of them, yes. And all of these were before Trump signed this executive order and directed on March 18th that they be released. None of these were available to the public, or some of them were available but with redactions, with the key information eliminated.
So some of these labels, like.
Yes. So we're looking at FBI files here. So if you go to the one to the left, the box to the left of that one there, this is a really interesting box here. This is the FBI's files on James Angleton. And this is separate than the box where I got the testimony to the church committee. But I've requested basically everything that's been classified regarding Angleton. I want all his personnel files. I want everything the FBI ever had on him. And not just him, there's other people too. But because I already had this lead that we know we want the church committee document, we know that there's a lot of talk today about unelected bureaucrats with power. This is the ultimate unelected bureaucrat with power. As a counter-espionage chief, working directly with Alan Dulles, they called him the Ghost. He had many different nicknames. Incredibly, incredibly powerful man, operating between 54 and 74 in intelligence agencies. And even prior to that, that was CIA work, 54 to 74. Prior to that, he was OSS. This is a long-time spook. Deep, deep secrets, tons of stories to tell. So there's a lot to uncover here.
I mean, those are fresh stickers,
All of it.
declassified.
Yes, we're forcing them to put these on. we're making them
Do
go to
not
the
pull.
stacks.
These records have been digitized and are available. Okay, so
But not
these
everything in there was.
Not
that
everything?
box was.
Really?
No, that's why they brought it to me. So, and the way it works is that it's very challenging the way they have their system set up. Some could argue it's intentionally cumbersome, so that you can't really search and just find a document you want. I can find a series of documents or a collection of records, and then I know, well, if there's one thing in that collection that might be valuable, let me just see it all. And what happened with the one where it was saying they're digitized, some in that box were digitized, some were not. So they brought it to me. And there was Angleton info in here. One of these boxes here is Hoover's secret files. So I pulled his index cards. There was one of the other things that you find going through these documents, and even in the digitized documents that are available to the public that you can read, is the CIA and the FBI directing their agents to destroy documents. And in Hoover's box, I've photographed multiple documents where so when you get into this classified material, there's always a top sheet that kind of gives you an idea. And once you start to learn their codes, you can kind of quickly move through thousands of documents where you know, like, oh, I've already seen this, or this has already been out. But when you see deletions, or they like to call them postponements, a postponement just means that the public can't see it. And so tons of these things, it's either redacted or deleted. And then with Hoover, just throughout the file, you see destroyed, 23 files destroyed, all the mail destroyed.
Oh my goodness.
So, and the other question when we look at this, and what many researchers have asked is, are we really getting everything? Is this true transparency with these 80,000 documents? I mean, there's approximately 6 million documents already in the archives that were already open to the public. And these 80,000 are supposed to be the last without redactions. But no one really knows. So I asked one of the archivists today, is this really everything? And does this represent everything that the intelligence agencies knew? And he told me absolutely not. That they destroyed, that the archives would never destroy anything. And after having talked to the bureau and the people in command, I honestly feel that they are just protecting the documents that are given to them. But if the document's never given to them, therein lies the trouble. It's never actually archived. And the archivist was adamant that the real juice is destroyed before it ever gets here.
Wow. Okay, so let's dig into some of this stuff. All right. You were there. Did you get to physically handle these documents?
Yes, I did.
Like you could hold the actual JFK documents?
Yes, I held all the documents today, and there's rules. They make you go through an orientation. If you break the rule, if you try to steal the document, if you even try to fold a document and put a crease in it, all likelihood they're going to pull your researcher card and you'll never be allowed back in. So there's very strict rules. There's people walking by constantly. And there's a protocol. It's cumbersome. You have to request from one office, you have to research in another office, so you're moving back and forth, and they're only open 8 hours a day anyways, which sounds like a lot of time until you're trying to deal with 17,000 pages.
And how many pages did you actually get to analyze in the last, today and yesterday, 48 hours?
I would say, so I didn't get the full time at the archives yesterday, but I would say that I've gone through at least 3,000 documents already. But some of these I could go through fast. Now, when I realized that, oh, this is important, I just sit there and photograph everything, because I know if I sit there and try to read 1,000 documents right now, I'm going to run out of time. I need to get everything in my hands, photograph it, get more documents in my hand. And I can be reading things and have them pulling more. So I figured out a system where by the time I'm done with this, they're already bringing me another cart. And then we just keep photographing and moving on.
Wow. And then you sit and read them.
Yeah, and then we sit and read them. Yeah, and that's the fun part. And I'm reading as I'm photographing. I'm scanning real fast, just looking for those keywords and the juicy red meat.
Okay, but there was something else that you had mentioned about with the keywords, and they make it difficult, and the cross-referencing, and then if there's documents there that you don't know are there, how do you even know to search for them? Did they give you any assistance with that in respect to that?
Not really. So they try, but they can't tell you. They don't even know what's in the catalog. And that I got really good rapport with one gentleman who helped me so that once I could find something good, he could lead me to other things that are similar to that. So they're definitely there trying to help, but they're also overwhelmed and they don't know that these things have been locked. I mean, only certain employees are even allowed into the JFK room, which even still with them declassified, they told me it's why it takes them so long to pull the records. Only certain people are allowed to go in there, which they are expecting that to change to equal whether they're going to move the JFK documents out and into the regular stacks makes the most sense, because there are other items that are in the lock stacks as well that potentially are still classified. And I did run into that issue. So they have what they call the JFK collection. So anything that's in or that was categorized in the JFK collection, Trump has declassified it. But there are a lot of other peripheral documents that do relate to the assassination potentially, or to just geopolitical activities at the time, that are still classified. And I tried to pull some boxes today, some personnel records and different things, and they did tell me that for those specifically, I'd have to file FOIA, which I filed the FOIA, now we just wait and we'll get it. But everything else, you can request it, basically 45 minutes to an hour, they're bringing you a cart full of documents and you do your thing.
Wow. This is absolutely fascinating. Okay, so now you guys have the backstory on how we got to this point. Okay, this is your first post. You just posted this on X. Epoch Times is now in possession of the long sought-after transcript of James Angleton's testimony to the Church Committee. More details coming soon. Okay, so I want to go through this kind of page by page because you have approximately, what you said, 75 to 100 pages?
Yes.
They are in your possession right now. They've never been released.
Yes.
And we're going to get a good preview of some of these, and I'm going to help you get this out into the public. We talked about that before this segment. So I'm going to help you because I want the documents too. Hey, put them on a USB, send them over. I'll do it. I'll spend all night working on it. Okay, so what do we have here? This page on screen. Tell us what it is.
So this is what you get when, this is like the cover sheet.
This is the cover sheet.
So, and it's going to tell you the important thing, what you really need is a record number. If you have a record number for a document, it's very easy to find it. The problem is we don't know many of these record numbers, there's no way to get it. So on this one, this record number had been out. So we knew that this existed, just no one had been able to get it. And if you see down here at the bottom where it's telling you top secret, referred, and postponed in full, a lot of times you'll see postponed, like there's 19 postponements or there's 7 postponements. This one, they just postponed in full.
Where does it say that?
Up just a little bit, right here where it says current status. So it was last reviewed in 97 and was postponed in full, which just meant that nothing, public cannot see this.
Okay. All right, so this is our cover page.
Yes, and then there's a little piece of paper down there at the bottom. This is what they give me. This is what, I have to put this in the photo. This allows me to take photo of a top secret document because it's proving that I took it after it was declassified.
Wow. Okay, so that's a very important part. So you had to move that from page to page?
I've subsequently learned, because I was trying to take thousands of pictures today, that I would just put it right below or right above. So, and they'll check. They're walking constantly, and if they see me take a photo without that, they can make me delete every photo I've taken in there.
Wow.
I don't want to break any of the rules. The same way I feel at the White House. We got to play the game,
yeah.
And it pays off.
So we got 4 pictures on the screen. Where do you want to go?
So we could look at one of these. This was just a snapshot. So I was just giving people a taste here because I posted these from inside the National Archives. Okay. And I just wanted to let the public know that, because this has been one that people have been looking for decades. We've known that it existed. Everyone's been wanting it.
So this is part of the testimony here?
This is, yes.
And Mr. Miller is speaking, Mr. Angleton is speaking.
Yes.
What are we looking at?
And Angleton is the spy chief. Miller was also one of his colleagues, essentially. And then you'll see in other pages where you have the senators are questioning them. So this,
okay, so there's the little sticker.
Yes.
Top secret.
And
totally unredacted.
And they're talking here about strategic deception. And this is one of the things, like, where they talk about how you're advancing your strategies through disinformation and deception, which is somewhat expected in a spy agency. One of the ironies here is that we have a counterintelligence chief in James Angleton, who was later found out was also a double agent. And he was a double agent for the Israeli government, got forced out of his role in the CIA at the end of 1974 by then Director Colby. And the irony of this entire document is that they're talking about defectors and then how do you identify if you've been penetrated by a double agent? And it's the king double agent that's doing the testifying. I mean, it's brilliance on another level or evil genius, depending on how you look at things.
Okay, so this is another page. Oh, these are the same almost.
Could be the same page. That's error in publishing there.
Hearing held before Senate Select Committee to study governmental operations with respect to intelligence activities. Thursday, January 22nd, 1976. So this was when they had the hearing?
Yes.
76.
Yes, it was. And he had been forced out just prior to that. Last day of 74 was his final day at the CIA.
And at the bottom it says Ward and Paul. What is that?
Probably the attorneys that were, I'm speculating here, but they were allowed to have legal counsel. So I'm not sure if this is the Select Committee's legal counsel or if this was potentially Angleton's.
Okay, so this is the United States Senate report of proceedings, hearing held, Senate Select Committee to study governmental operations with respect to intelligence activities.
And that's the Church Committee.
That's the Church Committee. Okay, so that's just the first taste. Okay, so now what do we got here? This says we're working with the National Archives. Okay, you just explained basically what's going on here.
And so this is one of the redacted documents I found in the FBI files, also dealing with Angleton.
Okay, so this was redacted, but
tomorrow morning I'll have the unredacted version. So, and I'll post it once I get that unredacted version tomorrow. So I notified.
Oh, they haven't given you the
No, they told me, I talked to them at the end of the day. So this is 3 p.m. maybe that I find these. And so I go to my liaison there and tell them like, okay, these are the boxes I found redactions. And then at the same time, I gave my requests a whole nother sheet of things that I want for tomorrow. So that tomorrow when I show up, they'll have a whole nother box so that I can start looking for redactions while they're pulling me the originals. And what they said is that their intention was to do this, was to go box by box, find the redactions, put the originals in. And I'm expediting the process essentially.
Wow. You're an American hero.
We're just playing our role.
Yeah, just doing our job, right? So how do they redact this? It looks like a marker. Like what kind of?
It is a marker, but they make a copy of the original and then they redact the copy. So what he told me is that they will go replace the redacted copy with the actual original document.
The original document.
Yes, and many of this one wasn't, but I saw tons of original documents today where I'm looking at J. Edgar Hoover's handwriting. You're looking at different analysts for the CIA and the FBI, all their handwriting, and their notes oftentimes will tell you things. Where
I mean, are you able to see these? We're talking about documents with actual pen.
actual
imprints.
pen? Yes, absolutely.
Wow, this is fascinating. Let's continue here. Okay, so to explain what this picture was, full document coming soon. What
This is
here?
another document. So this is Angleton in his testimony to the House Select Committee on Assassinations. I want to say this is 78, October of 78.
Yeah.
And this document has been open to the public, but there were 19 postponements in the document that was already released. Tomorrow I'll have the actual document. So this one has deletions inside of it, but I've already notified the archives that we need the original on this as well. And like I said, this one was released maybe in the late 90s or early 2000s where they released the redacted version, and then now we will have the real one.
Okay, so now we want to get into this next post here. Okay, as promised, the Angleton testimony document will be published right here. Okay, so we'll zoom in. What are we looking at here now?
So this was a newer cover sheet for that same document where it's saying that they consulted with the agency. It's a top secret document, consulted with the CIA, and the CIA told them in 97 to withhold it, that the public cannot see this. And then it had never been reviewed since 97. No review board had ever looked at it again.
1997. Okay, and now what's this?
This is possibly just similar information, maybe put out by a different agency, but it also corroborates the other stuff. And these are the things like the little words up top, the subjects, that's basically the only thing you can search for. It would be really nice if we could keyword search for everything in the document. But when here it would come up as Angleton or any of these keywords, but anything else that's in there, you won't find. And this is why you really kind of have to dig through stuff. You can't assume that the thing you want is going to be mentioned in the subject line. That you just kind of have to look at everything related to those topics and see what were they talking about? Could this potentially relate to the area of study that I'm looking at?
So where's the subject line?
Subject line is where it says Angleton, counterintelligence, CIA, methodology, FBI.
Okay.
So and that's
subjects, yes, okay.
It's pretty
That's
on
what it's
point.
related to.
Yes, which is pretty good for this document. But it's a 75-page document. There's a lot of things said in there and a lot of names mentioned that are not mentioned in the subject line.
Okay. Okay, now what's this?
And this one, I believe we saw this again. I was just publishing this. Now I'm going page to finish so that no one can say that I kept out documents.
Okay, this is top secret.
And all in a top secret folder. I'm not allowed to take it out of the folder. So I can hold it and I can turn the pages, but I have to leave it in its folder. And then
So this is a page, but it's in a protected sheet. Like it's a clear.
No sheet. Just the
Oh.
page.
Okay, so the edges are like the black border is actually like a sleeve?
No, it's been, in order to put the document in here, they did a Xerox of whatever the original was. Probably the CIA provided it to the archives as this.
Okay, here's more.
Then now we're starting to get into the topic of it. So this is them describing, this is the committee, who's there. This is all the things that the committee has to do to abide by protocol. So it's basically saying that everyone that's present at the time, the actual meeting.
So basically like the meeting minutes
Yes.
of the church committee of Angleton's testimony.
Yes.
Okay, so this is the beginning?
Yes,
This
so
is-
they're swearing them in here. And they're asking the spy chief that is a master of deception and was a double agent to swear to tell the truth. And he does.
Senator Hart of Colorado. Gentlemen, let's go ahead and be sworn and get underway if you don't mind. Do you swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God. Angleton, I do. Miller, I do. Senator Hart of Colorado. Thank you very much. Mr. Angleton, at least has been, at least has been before us before, and routinely will remind all witnesses that they preserve all of their constitutional rights, including the right to counsel, right to remain silent, and so forth and so on, and to have member of committee present during all testimony. It is my understanding we have no prepared statements. Oh, so they didn't even open up with prepared statements.
No.
Well, that's interesting.
Yes.
They just said they didn't want to talk about nothing.
Nothing.
I'm not going to say
Just in
anything
case it gets
today.
declassified.
Yeah. No, guys, sorry, we're not going to. I kind of know what I'm saying. You guys ask the questions. Yep, that sounds about right. Okay. Okay, so here he is, Angleton, discussing counterintelligence methods, how the agency managed effectors, and compartmentalization within the CIA. Now, I want people to understand. They're watching this. They're going. Everyone watching this right now is going, "Where's the smoking gun, Franchi?"
Yeah.
Right. So you got to set us up to what we're looking at and how
Yes.
we get into that, because I know everyone's like, okay, you got the meeting minutes from the Kennedy assassination hearing. Good for you. You know, like, oh, they got sworn in. Like this is kind of like the minutia. You got to dig through.
Yes.
But it's important to understand just the depth of what we're looking at here.
Yes.
And how detailed the information actually is. And these documents have never been seen before.
No, never been seen. Well, only to someone that had classified status.
Okay. So here's the counterintelligence methods that were discussed in this document here. So walk us through this one.
So they're talking about their strategies here for managing double agents. And so they're constantly fearful of other agents penetrating our agencies, while at the same time they want to penetrate other agencies. And the irony, of course, is that he has penetrated at the highest level. And with the compartmentalization and the methods by which they operated, while there's no smoking gun, the hints that are provided and the details that are provided show that the CIA, the hierarchy, was completely unaware of what certain elements were doing.
Because it was so compartmentalized.
So compartmentalized, and what's mentioned in this document is that Angleton didn't have to have any approval by anyone else. Angleton and Dulles could operate on their own. So if the counterintelligence chief had an idea or Dulles had an idea and they thought, let's do this, nobody else had to know. The president didn't have to know. Hoover didn't have to know. That, in my opinion, is one of the key elements that's in this document, is that there are no safeguards and there's no way to know who's telling the truth, especially given the fact that Dulles was fired. I mean, we know the backstory of what happened with Dulles and the CIA. So we have essentially a vengeful CIA operative and another counterintelligence chief that together can do as they please.
And they were basically still employed by the government,
Yes.
still operating. Even though they were fired, they just moved them off-site and they just kept their power, kept their infrastructure in place, and carried out all kinds of dirty tricks.
Yes.
All the way up to the Kennedy assassination.
That's what many people believe. Even I interviewed Bobby Kennedy years ago, and I asked him about this, Bobby Kennedy Jr., and asked him about this specifically. What do you believe happened to your father? What do you believe happened to your uncle? He laid it out in clear terms, CIA involvement, without a doubt, and told me that his father knew immediately that the CIA was involved. And then, off topic here, but then also involved in killing Bobby Kennedy Sr. as well. That's the belief of Bobby Kennedy Jr.
Well, you bring up Bobby Kennedy, and we're anticipating the release of those documents,
Yes.
the MLK documents. And aren't they releasing the 9/11 documents as well?
I would love to see that. I don't know that Trump's mentioned that,
if
that'd be a beautiful progression.
Yeah.
If we could see some real truth on that matter as well.
If we could find out what happened with all that thermite, that'd be great. Thanks, Trump. Yeah,
regarding-
400,000 pounds of thermite shipped to the World Trade Center. a week beforehand. Anyway, that's a whole other topic.
That's another show.
That's another show.
But regarding the MLK documents, the archivist today was telling me that
I'm sorry, I turned the page here, but
Oh, no, you're good.
go ahead.
So the archivist told me today that they're really excited about the MLK documents. So there
Really?
was a lot of FBI stuff going on, some COINTELPRO. They were basically trying to discredit MLK. A lot of this stuff is, so there's been drips, like the public, we've seen enough to know that it's going on, but we've never seen the full picture. And that's one of the really exciting things that we're going to get. And I'll be in the archives digging those up. As soon as we get any of this stuff, we're going to go get it all.
Well, I remember seeing some of the early MLK stuff that was released. Maybe it was old. It just talked about, his private life and things that he was doing that, you wouldn't expect a pastor to do. I don't know if that was planted as misinformation or not.
Yes.
Because the poison pills are peppered throughout this. So we could talk, when you get into it, we could talk about MLK. Okay, so this is more Miller. I would have to respond to that. So this is back and forth. Miller is talking to...
Yes. And Miller is also, he's intelligence agency as well. So they're basically testifying. This committee was trying to decide, like, do we need to reorganize the CIA? What do we need to do? They had a feeling that things were happening that were maybe not above board, but they were not digging into the details. And even in this document, if you look at the questions these senators were asking, and we see this today in the political sphere, that some are asking tough questions, others are basically playing softball games, they're wasting the time of the committee, and they don't dig in where they need to. But the goal of it was to figure out how out of control are these agencies, and does Congress need to step in? Or does someone need to exercise authority out over these things?
Yeah, because they're basically become rogue agencies, and the Senate has the oversight, and and then you have senators who are compromised and others who don't care, and the softball questions are going to come from the guys who want to waste time.
Yes.
And they're not going to provide the proper oversight, which is required, and maybe some of them are just scared.
Yes.
I remember years ago I was visiting the White House. I was just walking by with my wife. We were here for some event. I think I was protesting the Federal Reserve or something, and we walked past the White House, and someone walks out of the gate that we now walk in and out of every day, and all I heard him say on the phone is, "God, I love the agency." I'm like, what the hell? Like, I heard him say it as I'm walking past, So there are people who are probably still terrified at this point, because if they think the CIA was behind it, or if they knew, they're not going to ask those tough questions.
Yes.
And they're just going to let things slide because they don't want to get, be the next Kennedy assassination or Bobby Kennedy.
And when you read this, where they're talking about deception and it's psychological warfare, and not only to foreign nations, like when you read through the document here, they even talk about how, well, it's really advantageous when another nation has all this information on their citizens, because then we can just tap in, or we can get a double agent and basically get everything. And one of the senators asks, well, aren't we vulnerable to these same things? And he's like, well, yeah, but that's why we just need to be better at our jobs. And it's a really challenging situation for the agency. I mean, depending on how you look at it, trying to protect national security while also at the same time trying to stay moral. It's a challenge, to say the least.
Well, you remember when Pompeo, when he was giving that talk, he was sitting in a chair on stage, and Pompeo, who was the CIA director for a time, he says that they were taught to lie, and he laughs about it, and it's like, that's what they do. Like,
yes.
How do you maintain morality when you're a straight up lie? You are lying. You are practicing deception.
Yes.
Like, man, I'd hate to be at that guy's life review when his time comes. Anyway, so let's continue. We've got this document here. This looks like more back and forth between Johnson and Miller. So this must be what? Senator Johnson is.
Senator Johnson, yes.
Is asking Miller questions here. So in these cases, were there such operations were they cleared with?
And this is really interesting about the compartmentalization. Johnson is just curious. So if we have these operations, who is in control? And you'll see Miller immediately is going to defer to Angleton. And this is the senator that's trying to figure out who really has the authority here.
And this whole testimony is 75 pages?
75 pages, yes.
Okay, here's another one.
And this is where Angleton and Miller are kind of saying, well, sometimes we'll check with the FBI. Sometimes we'll check with other agencies or other law enforcement, and then other times we'll just do what we have to do. And later it might be a separate page where they pin him down to it and say, well, is there anyone between you and Dulles? And he says no.
Well, look at that last line right there. It says, Mr. Johnson. It says, Mr. Johnson, Mr. Angleton, do you know of any instances where the CIA, I'm guessing CIA staff, counterintelligence staff, or higher authority within the CIA went outside the agency for approval for important counter espionage?
Yes.
Wow. What's the answer? What's the
Yes.
answer? Is that on the next page? Is that? I hope it's right here. Is this the next page?
Yes, it is.
Mr. Angleton, he says.
And at the top, he's going to say, there's a little bit more above.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm trying to.
Oh, it's okay.
Oops. The Attorney General.
He's basically saying, like, well, it could be at the level of the Attorney General.
Does this happen frequently? Is this a typical procedure for a major counter operation?
And his
Angleton.
answer is really telling.
Angleton, if it was a major matter, it's on the basis of need to know.
Yes. And apparently the only ones that needed to know were he and Dulles.
Yeah. So the two guys are right there conspiring. Hey, don't tell them. Don't tell them. No one else needs to know. It's between us. This is sick, man. This is sick. And then we're like, I don't mean to like laugh about it, but it's like,
Yeah.
Anyway. Okay. Okay. So it looks like he's continuing here. He says, you have another kind of case where a foreigner came to me and stated his government had a defector from the bloc, an excellent agent, and they would be prepared to give us the agent if we would take over lock, stock, and barrel, handle it in such a fashion that there would be no exposure because of the political consequences to their government. I would go to the director, the deputy director, spell out the matter, and come to a determination whether we wanted to take the case on. This particular case involving not only a person who had been in the intelligence service of the opposition of a long time, but also access to codes and a great deal of deciphered material. So it was kicked back and forth at a great deal. I'm sorry, this is hard to read. These kicked back and forth, and there was a determination made that we could take it over. The staff would take it over in its entirety, and therefore it meant I called in Scotty, and we pulled together our team. We sent them abroad, and we handled. So this is all about like how they would handle like extracting a spy or something.
Basically, a spy from another nation that's wanting to come and become a spy for the CIA, whether as a double agent or just to completely switch.
Wow.
And a lot of this, what he's talking about, is KGB. They were really focused at the time on infiltrating the Soviet intelligence and also bringing their agents over here as well. And it's also interesting later, they mentioned, one of the senators asks, like, how difficult is that? And he says, oh, it's very challenging. And then they said, well, how about the operations in Africa and Latin America? And he's like, oh, that's easy. We can do whatever we want basically there.
Wow. So what's this about being buried?
Bury
Bury the individual?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson, did you say bury the individual?
It sounds bad, but what he really means here in buried is like maybe the spy's cover has been blown, and so now you just need to
Give it a little more backstory, because I just jumped to it. I don't think no one watching it has the context you can provide.
Yes, so they have he's just talking and says that if something goes wrong, or if we just finish the operation, then we'll bury the individual. And the senator immediately says, like, what do you mean by buried? Like, he's just believing that potentially he's saying, are you killing off the person once you're done with them? And he says, no, like, it's basically their jargon for giving them another identity and pushing them into American society where they are no longer a spy and trying to keep them safe. And they mentioned in here many times that if they try to turn a KGB agent and something goes wrong, that absolutely the Soviets would have just killed the agent as soon as they found out.
Goodness. Okay, so we got that. And then we have another page here. Mr. Angleton with I apologize for the crop here. Mr. Angleton with the added fact that we did not disclose all the facts from our identity. What's going on this page?
So he's basically here, he's just explaining some of the counter-espionage techniques and also how you at times have to create multiple covers. So that's one of the other things that these documents, both the digitized and the non-digitized, have shown us. There's always been speculation about CIA operating companies so that they could have their covers. And now we're actually starting to see some of these names. Now, this is no longer speculation. They were absolutely using what look to be private businesses. Oftentimes they are conducting private business, but then you have either the head of the company as an agent or you have employees in there so that they can use it. And in the one page here, it's basically saying that there's times when you need multiple covers in case multiple layers of cover, in case one gets blown, then you could try to play it off that he's not a spy.
This is totally wild.
The level of deception, the counter-espionage and deception is the key elements of this document, of just showing it's the true cloak and dagger, where they are willing to do whatever it takes to achieve their goal and lie the entire time. They mention in this repeatedly how they have to, you have to deceive. Without deception, they can't achieve their goals. And then that raises the question, what level of deception are we getting as well when they turn the messaging to us?
Okay, so there was another point here that I wanted to bring up. That we had this came out at 24 hours ago, that Oswald was a bad shot.
Yes. And that, the official story is he fired 3 shots in 8.3 seconds, the second and third hitting the president. And then we have multiple files from the KGB where this is their quote, that he was a poor shooter. They called it an elaborate coup. And we have the FBI and the CIA, so they're monitoring KGB communications. And then, so we don't have the KGB communication, we have the CIA saying, this is what the KGB and the Russians are saying. And then they're monitoring everyone's. As journalists, we always knew this, that you get targeted when you start telling the truth. As you said, you've had the big power trying to take you down just for actually being willing, having the courage to tell it like it is. We see that exact same thing in many of these documents where they go after journalists, they go after authors, and their fiancés. They don't stop at just the person. They want surveillance on the entire family. And it begs the question, if you don't have anything to hide, why are you spending resources on people that are just doing their job as journalists?
I want to take a look at what General Flynn had to say. General Flynn names Allen Dulles as a potential co-conspirator in the JFK assassination. JFK fired Dulles as CIA director, but Flynn says Dulles went on to an off-site safe house in D.C. and continued to run the CIA. That's what we were just talking about.
Yes, and that's what this new document from the Church Committee implies, is it doesn't say directly that this is what he was doing. But as you just read, whenever they say, oh, it's a major operation, yeah, well, then I just take it to the director and we make our decision. And the question then becomes...
Because at the time of this committee, he was what?
He was gone. Both of them were gone. Technically, no longer in the CIA.
Technically.
But yes, that's the official story. But he was, so at this time, when he's testifying, he's presumably only an Israeli agent.
Okay, so let's watch this clip with General Flynn.
So that old audio of Clifton Carter, the former head of the DNC and LBJ's bestie, right? And that Saul Estes guy, they're replaying that old audio all over social media. And you've got Clifton Carter there saying and claiming that LBJ was in on this, right? Mm-hmm. And then I'm hearing Roger Stone say that Nixon told him, hey, I wanted that seat too, but I didn't go to the lengths LBJ did and have him killed.
Right.
I mean, do you think that the vice president was possibly involved too back then?
Yeah, I think we're going to find out a lot. And I'll give you another name, Dan.
Okay.
Dulles. Dulles, name Dulles Airport, right? The Dulles was the CIA director under Kennedy. Mm-hmm. Kennedy fired him. Dulles then went, just like John Brennan and Obama have done, they went to a little safe house, a little house off-site in Washington, D.C., and they continued to run the CIA after he was fired. That's well known. So Dulles is another name, along with LBJ. So,
wow.
Yeah,
okay.
I think more and more to come.
All right, some fireworks here. So that
fireworks indeed. Any final thoughts?
I've requested a lot on Dulles. We're going to know a lot about Dulles. We're going to know a lot about LBJ. I've specifically requested, there is an interview LBJ conducted in '64 with McCone. I think it's John McCone. He was the CIA director at the time. That is also a highly desirable document. I have that on request, should be ready for me in the morning. I've also requested everything about McCone. I want every document. If there's a classified document with the CIA director that came in after Kennedy, I want it. And the same with everything regarding Angleton, LBJ, Doge. Like if you look at my notes, like what he was just saying, that's exactly who we're pulling. We want everything related to them. The smoking gun's going to be difficult. I know that's what the conspiracy crowd wants, or what
everybody watching is. They're going to look at this video and they're going to complain that we didn't provide a smoking gun. But you guys have to understand that when Travis has to go to the actual archives and go through these binders and try to find out what's in it, it takes a tremendous amount of time, especially if it's not digitized, right?
Yes, definitely. And even the digitized stuff is so trashed that the quality of it is so difficult that it takes time to read. These are high quality papers compared to some of the stuff that was scanned. And I questioned some of the things that were scanned that potentially it was bad. I went and looked, they Xeroxed it. So it almost looks like before the agencies gave it to the archive, they ran a Xerox and then they ran a Xerox of the Xerox, and then they just kept like copying the copy to reduce the quality and make it practically illegible. I mean, that's what it looks like.
Well, that's why I'm like struggling to read some of this stuff, because these are old documents and there is a lot of artifacting. It makes it difficult in the fonts and everything. It's just very hard to go through it.
Yeah.
And you're taking physical photographs of every document.
Yes.
And well, I look forward to helping you sort through some of these things and use some technologies to extract some of that information and digest it and
Yes.
process it. One of the things that I was speaking with a friend of mine, and I said we need to take all this information and we need to dump it into an LLM, a custom-built sort of ChatGPT, if you will, but one that we control, one that we have absolute control over. And you could feed all this data, you could feed every single piece of paper into this large language model, and then you can query the information directly. So I'm actually going to try to do that on a rudimentary level, but I mean, there are people out there that I know personally that can execute these things. But there's so much information. How many more documents do you think there are left? Because I mean, I heard 500,000 at one point.
So there's 6 million documents in the archives. There's about 80,000 that were just dumped on us. But some of those, even out of the 80,000, we had seen some of the document before, but there was redactions. So the 80,000 might not be everything on the page is new, but typically the redacted part's the most important. And that's what we're getting to see now. And what we really need also are eyes on these documents. So as we make this stuff published, we need people to look at it, because depending on what your background and your context knowledge is, we can extract different things from this. So this is where we really need to all come together as a group and examine these documents as they come out. If you send Gary leads, we're going to go chase them down. Someone out there can read through this and read between the lines and see things that we're missing. And that's the key here. Together, we are going to figure out the truth, but it's going to take time to get there.
Yeah, certainly will. Well, I'm anxious to see what else comes out of this. So, Travis, absolute explosive information, and then what General Michael Flynn revealed about Allen Dulles, and your documents corroborating it, about JFK firing Dulles as the CIA director, and Dulles simply moving to an offsite safe house in D.C. and continued running the agency. Folks, let that sink in for a minute. The president fired the head of an intelligence agency, and that person just kept working, kept giving orders, kept running operations. That's how a shadow government operates. And now with these newly uncovered Angleton documents that you've shared with us, we're seeing just how deep this conspiracy went. So here's my question for you guys watching. All right, ready for this? If they could do this to a president in 1963, what are they capable of doing today? Okay, to anyone who challenges their authority? Drop a comment below. And don't forget to check out our exclusive Next News merch at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com in the merch shop. Wow, that was wild. That was wild.
I wish we had the smoking gun for him.
I know. Everyone's going to be like, man, Franchi, all you're doing is teasing us. But that's what we're doing. I mean, we got to get the information out. And this is only, hey, we got to preface it. This is the beginning. This is only the beginning.
Yep.
And like when I talked to you on the phone today, and I was just like, I'm like, hey, man, what are you doing? Like, where you at, man? Like, how's the White House today? You're like, no, dude, I'm at the archives right now. I'm digging through all the files. I'm like, what? I'm like, you're at the what, doing what? Because we joked about it the other day.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, so the White House tells you got to go to the archives. And I made a joke about you're going to have to go talk to some old crotchety librarian and be like, do you know the Dewey Decimal System? You know, like,
that's what it is.
Like, you know, and you literally have to go through like the old green screen with like the green font, like type it in, like there's no mouse pad, you know, like back in the day, going through card files and pulling it out, like. But anyway, yeah. So, but you actually went and did it, so my hat's off.
Still better than film.
Yeah. So. All right, we've got. Was there any super chats? I haven't even checked. I'm just totally blown away by everything. $34 in super chat. I guess this show wasn't worth that much for them today. Sharon Johnson. Let's see what we got. Carla, greetings from Phoenix, $1.99. David McVicker, $1.99. Sharon Johnson, $2. And then we also have Next News Network. Jennifer dropping $10. Next News Network and Epoch Times. Awesome. And then we got Sparky.
Careful.
He says, what? Anytime someone says, is our friend in the, we can help but think before, okay, U.S. missionary. And then we have Karen dropping $5. Excellent information on this show. Thank you. And then we got Dale dropping $5 Canadian. We do take Canadian here. Due to CIA false control levers in life, we are in great danger. We the people are the intelligent ones. We demand a CIA control. Okay. All right, we got to move to our next topic. You want to hang out?
Sure.
All right. You want to have some fun on the raw feed?
Absolutely.
All right. Buckle up, dude. I don't know what we're going to get into tonight, but we got some news. Let's get into, let's see, I'm going to check the feed real quick and see where we're at on POTUS. Okay. Oh, beautiful stuff. And it's crazy that I was actually in the room when this all happened. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, what we're witnessing right now is nothing short of an economic revolution. President Trump has taken the gloves off and is systematically dismantling the bureaucratic barriers that have strangled American prosperity for decades. Today, Nvidia announced they'll be investing hundreds of billions of dollars in U.S. manufacturing over the next 4 years. Hundreds of billions. This isn't happening by accident. This is happening because for the first time in generations, we have a president who understands that a nation doesn't make things is not a nation at all. While the last administration waged regulatory war on American business, Trump is unleashing the full power of American innovation and productivity, and the results, well, they're already here. Now, President Trump's economic revival reminds me of what happens when you give your body the right resources to thrive. Just as Trump is rebuilding America's manufacturing base, this revolutionary multi-collagen formula rebuilds your body from the inside out. Well, Nvidia invests billions in American production. You should invest in your health infrastructure too. A groundbreaking 2024 study showed that specific collagen peptides can reverse visible aging by supporting your body's natural process. And this formula contains 5 essential collagen types that your body needs to maintain health and vitality. Just like America needs strong economic foundations. So visit healthwithgary.com and get 51% off during their limited time offer. So what happened at the White House today? It wasn't just all about chips. There was a battle going on for education freedom. I should know, I was right there. Trump is dismantling the corrupt education system. But there is something that you guys need to know about what's happening in Illinois that could derail this and actually elevate this whole thing to the Supreme Court. Watch this.
Less than proficient.
Good afternoon, Gary Franchi from the Next News Network outside the White House. The birds are chirping. It's a sunny day. Well, back there, President Trump is taking a sledgehammer to the corrupt education system that's been failing America's children for decades, but something is happening in Illinois that could challenge President Trump's plans. I'll have more on that in a moment, but today, Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt made it crystal clear this administration isn't here to reform the system. They're here to dismantle the entire broken bureaucracy and put power back where it belongs, with parents, teachers, and local communities. Now let's talk about the disaster that Trump is cleaning up. And it's a big one. We're talking about the Department of Education wasting $3 trillion since 1979. Math and reading scores have collapsed. 60% of fourth graders can't even do math. 70% of eighth graders can't read at grade level. We rank 28th in the world in math. And what are kids learning instead? Gender ideology, climate hysteria, and anti-American propaganda. Well, Donald Trump, he says enough. And today, Leavitt lit the media on fire when she called out the corrupt teachers unions for running a racket that traps kids in failing schools while their own leaders send their children to elite private academies. And when reporters try to spin it, well, she dropped the hammer. Watch this.
Caroline, what do you say to critics of the president's education plan?
Where was their criticism of our nation's failing test scores for the last several decades? The Department of Education was founded in the 1970s, and since then we have spent more than $3 trillion at this federal bureaucracy. What has been the return on that investment for the American taxpayer? Levels that are less than ideal, less than proficient. Our children's test scores are incredibly concerning when it comes to reading rates, literacy rates, math, and science test scores. The numbers prove that, and the president is finally, this president is finally taking much needed action to return education to where it belongs, and that's to educators closest to students in their classrooms in their respective states. We're going to have a great event here later at 4 o'clock. There will be students here, teachers here, parents here, educators, and of course governors from around the country who are very excited about taking on this responsibility to educate our nation's students.
Who's going to run federal student loans?
So the Department of Education will be much smaller than it is today. As you know, the president's executive order directed Linda McMahon to greatly minimize the agency. So when it comes to student loans and Pell Grants, those will still be run out of the Department of Education. But we don't need to be spending more than $3 trillion over the course of a few decades on a department that's clearly
What happened?
failing in its initial intention to educate our students.
So is the federal government going to be
it's going to
spending
be
less?
much smaller than it is. Is it not going to be shut down completely? And then I have a second question.
As I said, Pell Grants and student loans will still be run out of the department in Washington, D.C., but the great responsibility of educating our nation's students will return to the states.
And the Department of Education plays a critical role in enforcing civil rights laws that prohibit discrimination. Who's going to do that now?
Any critical functions of the department, such as that, will remain. But again, we're greatly reducing the scale and the size of this department.
Boom, there it is. No more federal cash for failing schools. No more teachers' unions dictating curriculum. No more indoctrination. It's all over. And get this, Trump is pushing for the largest school choice expansion in U.S. history. He wants parents to decide where their kids go to school, not union bosses or D.C. bureaucrats. But here is the problem. Are you ready for this? The leftist tyranny, it persists. Illinois is advancing HB 2827, a bill that would force private schools and homeschooling families to register with the state, submit medical records, and comply with state mandates under threat of fines, jail time, and even child protective services. That's right. If you don't bow to the regime's education demands, they will come after your family. Now, this flies right in the face of long-standing Supreme Court rulings that protect parental rights. And if Trump is returning education to the states, then his administration must ensure that states don't use that power to trample federally recognized rights, especially for homeschooling families in private schools. Now, some radicals who push gender ideology, CRT, and anti-American filth into public schools, they now want to dictate what private and homeschool families do inside their homes. This is about control. This is about crushing school choice and making sure no child escapes the indoctrination machine. And here is the kicker. HB 2827 won't improve education at all, not one bit. It's just a power grab to bring independent families under the state's boot. If Trump's plan is to dismantle federal overreach, then he also needs to stop state-level tyranny, because if they can force your kid into a failing school or punish you for homeschooling, then education freedom is absolutely meaningless. Parents must be in charge, not bureaucrats, not the state, and definitely not the radical left. Trump is fighting back, but he needs to hear from you. Share this, repost this, and it's time to get loud. Homeschooling families, private schools, everyone needs to know exactly what is at stake. I'm Gary Franchi with the Next News Network, outside the White House on this beautiful day, bringing you the news they refuse to cover. Let's go, baby. Let's go. All right. So that was my hit outside the White House right before the event took place, the signing ceremony. But we got more news to get to here. President Trump, here it is, the proclamation he signed today as well.
Before
it wasn't
we
just
begin,
about it wasn't just about the Department of Education.
Just want to announce that I signed a proclamation a few moments ago honoring the 250th anniversary of Patrick Henry's famous speech to the Second Virginia Convention, in which he declared very well-known, very famous words, "Give me liberty or give me death." Has anyone heard the phrase? I think most of you have. Before we begin, I just want to announce.
And I want to show you the moment that here it is. This is when he signed the actual executive order. I was standing right there, capturing it all, right in the front row.
Good-looking people here. Should I do this? I think so. We have pens for you too, special pens.
They all open up their own executive order.
Document that turned out to be very good for the country, and I said, let's use that same pen. I don't know, is anybody superstitious? Ron, are you superstitious? Let's use that same pen.
Such a cool moment for the kids, too.
Okay. You come up just to say, that's very important. Big factor here. Good luck. Good luck. Thank you, everybody, very much. Good luck. Thank you.
Come over here, shake my hand. I think it says thank you. kid is famous now for sure, right? No, man, just beautiful things happening at the White House. But I should bring this up too. Conor McGregor has now announced his candidacy for the president of Ireland. Yeah, he's going to kick some ass over there, I think, right? And then, did you guys see this? President Trump placed a copy of the Declaration of Independence in the Oval Office, the first president to do so. This is a president who truly loves this country. Did you hear about that?
Yes, I did.
I mean, that is remarkable.
Yes.
Like, he just picks up the phone and he's like, hey, bring up the Declaration of Independence. I want it on the wall. Like, it's just unheard of.
Yeah.
You know, and I think he had Laura Ingraham in there the other day, and he revealed it to her. And the curtains are up to protect it from sunlight because it'll destroy the document.
So is this the original? I wasn't
the original. It's the original Declaration of Independence.
That's slightly unfortunate because now we can't go see it at the archives.
I think there's a couple versions of it.
Oh, so he's got one of the alternatives. Yes.
He may have one of the alternatives.
That makes sense.
Yeah. And what do we have here? Ben & Jerry's CEO David Stever fired over his political activism within the company. Oh, so sad. What is this? What are they saying here?
But delicious new flavor in support of refugee rights in the UK.
Yeah, we're going to make an ice cream flavor that's going to help refugee rights in the United Kingdom. No thanks, not buying that one. Okay, President Trump positions the U.S. as a global superpower in manufacturing. This is direct from the White House. We can take a closer look at what they're saying here. Nvidia, the world's undisputed leader in chip making, says it will invest hundreds of billions of dollars over the next 4 years on its U.S.-based manufacturing operations, part of the manufacturing renaissance under President Donald Trump as he solidifies the U.S. as a global leader in artificial intelligence. I mean, we're so reliant on chips.
Yes, absolutely. And just the whole idea of manufacturing in general and the onshoring of jobs, there's so much potential here for the American people.
Well, remember when the pandemic happened and like all the used cars were like the prices were going up and up and up because you couldn't get new cars because they didn't have chips for the cars.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And from a national security perspective, this makes sense on so many different levels.
Yeah. Yeah. Where was Joe Biden? Oh, he was having his applesauce.
He was having some of that ice cream the other people
mentioned. You know. Nvidia plans to spend hundreds of billions of dollars on manufacturing. President Trump becomes the first sitting president to address a crypto conference. That happened earlier today. Let's check in with this.
We're ending the last administration's regulatory.
Oh, the audio's a little messed up.
We're ending the last administration's regulatory.
Oh, sorry about that. Not sure. Sometimes these clips don't come in the way they are supposed to. Okay, what else have we got here?
And have we seen a bump in Nvidia since this in the stock price?
I haven't checked. Honestly, I haven't checked. But he said here, we're ending the last administration's regulatory war on crypto and Bitcoin. That includes stopping the lawless Operation Choke Point 2.0. It was a form of lawfare through government weaponization, but as of January 20th, 25, all of that is over. So I love crypto. I think it's a great tool. Here we have Rapid Response 47, Trump's accomplishments so far. Inflation, this is a screenshot of Fox News. Inflation down, gas prices below $3 a gallon, egg prices falling, border encounters plunge, mortgage rates decline. You know, everyone's so fixated on egg prices. And we ran a story yesterday about how it was one of President Trump's advisors, Hassett, I believe it was, and he said, yeah, the egg prices are going down because of, you know, Joe Biden killed how many millions of chickens?
Tens of millions of chickens, yeah.
2 months before Trump goes in office. Do you think that was clear sabotage? So people would see it in the grocery stores and then blame Trump?
And blame Trump, yeah. And what's really interesting, your audience is probably familiar with Dr. Peter McCullough. He's done excellent work exposing vaccine issues with COVID and actually providing treatments. And I interviewed McCullough early last year, and he predicted exactly what happened with the chicken killing.
Really?
And I was trying to talk to him about past things, and he was like, no, this is the new thing. They're using the exact same thing, PCR tests of the birds to prove that they have this. Doesn't matter if they're symptomatic or not. And then he said they're going to mass kill. They're about to take out all of this livestock, and there's no scientific basis for any of this. His theory is that it's spreading by the wild ducks, the mallards, And he basically told, and this is March of last year, that he saw all of this coming.
Wow.
And then he basically said that when you're killing off all the chickens, not only are you're eliminating your supply of eggs, but then now there's no natural immunity. So that as soon as any flock gets it, he'll basically end up with no chickens if this is the path you go down. Trump's advisors clearly saw the writing on the wall and understood that this time we actually do need to follow real science as opposed to what people tell us are real science. And I'm surprised at how dramatic we've seen the turnaround.
Yeah.
I knew that he'd get the chickens back, but this is really fast.
I mean, yeah, within what, 9 weeks now, and gas prices are below $3 a gallon. Inflation is down. What can you speak to the gas prices at all?
I'm California, so I can say that we have seen gas prices come down. But the state deals with its own issues there too. But Trump's hit the nail on the head here, and his economic team does, that in order to get inflation under control, you got to get energy prices under control. And they're really prioritizing that. And we'll see that relief for the American people. You end up with more money in your pocket. Everything costs less, costs you less to travel. All the goods cost less. It's an incredible strategy. And I think it's blowing everyone away, not only the pace in which he works, but also the speed in which we're actually seeing results.
I want to point out, this is Travis Gilmore. He is from Epoch Times. He is a White House correspondent for them. We met at the White House. We have, he's a great resource, especially for me when I'm in town. Because sometimes he's there, sometimes I'm not. And we can bounce ideas off each other, and we can, that's the whole point. Is being at the White House with the new media. We are building coalitions so that we can all help each other. Because I've had run-ins with people in that White House. They don't want us there.
Yes. No.
Have you had any experience with that?
Absolutely. They see us as you're not real journalists because you're not one of the mainstream. I would never even work. A lot of us that are in this role, we would never even consider working for them. I don't care how much money they paid me. I would never take a job with any of them. And they have the nerve to look down on us. I just want to say thank you to President Trump, because I know he's watching. Thank you for moving the riffraff and the fake news out and allowing people that really want to come in and spread the word. It's truly an honor and a privilege, and they are really making an effort to allow people like you and me in there. And I'll tell your audience, Gary's in there working from morning to night. You can see his videos. He's in there busting it, getting in the front, making it happen. It's an honor to work with you, sir.
No, it's an honor to work with you, and I hope that you get picked for a question soon, and maybe I'll get picked for a question at some point. It's just a matter of time, really. You just got to keep, just meeting people and making connections, and that's what it all comes down to. What else have we got going on here in this thread? The Trump effect. Nvidia will spend hundreds of billions on U.S. manufacturing, according to the CEO. Trump said he's stopping the last administration's regulatory war on Bitcoin. Let's see if this clip is any better.
At a
Here we go.
fraction of their value. We're ending the last administration's regulatory war on crypto and Bitcoin, and that includes stopping the lawless Operation Choke Point 2.0. Operation Choke Point went beyond regulation, and I mean far beyond. It was a form of lawfare through government weaponization. Frankly, it was a disgrace. But as of January 20th, 2025, all of that is over. I've also called on Congress to pass landmark legislation creating simple, common-sense rules for stablecoins and market structure. With the right legal framework, institutions large and small will be liberated to invest, innovate, and take part in one of the most exciting technological revolutions in modern history. It's so big, it's, I think, as big as you can get. Pioneers like you will be able to improve our banking and payment system and promote greater privacy, safety, security, and wealth for American consumers and businesses alike. You will unleash an explosion of economic growth, and with the dollar-backed stablecoins, you'll help expand the dominance of the U.S. dollar, and many, many years to come, it'll be at the top, and that's where we want to keep it. We only want to keep it at the top, always. I can already see that the energy and passion of the crypto community is the kind of spirit that built our country, and it is exciting to watch as you invent the future of finance. And right here, it's going to be right here in the USA, the good old USA. Together, we will make America the undisputed Bitcoin superpower and the crypto capital of the world. Thank you. Good luck. God bless America.
Oh, wow. Now, when this was running earlier today, There was 275,000 people watching on X alone.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a huge number. I don't know, like probably on YouTube, equally as many people. I mean, this is a really big deal. Any thoughts on crypto?
It's really interesting to see where we go with crypto. There's been so many ups and downs in the regulatory structure. There's so many unknowns there. My question is, do we end up with a Fed coin? And then that leads to the other question of what does Trump do with the Federal Reserve? Like, where do we go from here? There's a chance here that he's seeing an alternative theory in terms of monetary policy that he's not let out of the bag yet.
Yeah.
And that's where I think we've got a lot of big things ahead in terms of what he wants to do and wants to achieve. He likes to break the news himself. He doesn't want anyone scooping him. So I think there's some tricks up his sleeve that we're going to see soon.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing it. So the evidence is everywhere. Home sales rose nearly 4.5% in February. Trump becoming the first sitting president to address a crypto conference. The world's leading AI chip manufacturer pledging hundreds of billions to American production facilities. Okay, Trump is ending the regulatory war on crypto and Bitcoin. He's unleashing Alaska's energy potential, and he's bringing manufacturing back from China. These decisions aren't just good policy. They're the assertion of American sovereignty against globalist interests who spent decades selling out our economic future. And of course, our children's educational future is completely going to change. And President Trump signed that executive order you saw today. And many people are asking me, and they're saying, well, you know, how can, I thought he has to have Congress's approval to do so. Well, I argue this. Why can't they just make the Department of Education a closet in the executive office building and just have one guy processing Pell Grants all day? All right? You still have the Department of Education, but now it's just been downsized to a closet. So we'll just wait and see how that happens. But they did say that they're going to have, they're going to basically take all the critical elements that do provide support for education and move them into other departments. So a lot of those actions that the Department of Education is relied upon, and the people are screaming, "Oh my goodness, the children aren't going to have food stamps to eat and eat the garbage in the cafeteria." No, a lot of those programs are still going to be in place, but they're just not going to be in the Department of Education. Okay, so here's my question for you. Why did previous administrations, Republican and Democrat alike, allow America's industrial base to be gutted in the first place? Who benefited from our economic decline? And why did no one stop it until Trump? Show your support for America's economic comeback with our exclusive MAGAvengers gear, our Next News hat, coffee mugs, everything there. And it's at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com. It's linked below. Okay. What's up? I saw some super chats come through. Let's say hello to Frank Bailey. Look at Mac Wallace. Yes, that is one guy certainly to look at. And then we have Michael Millard, who just became a member. Welcome to the family, Michael. And Craig, he says, did you get to hear the Sharpie as president was? I heard it all, man. I heard, you can hear it. You know, like it's a beautiful sound. I love it. I mean, just the fact that I can be in that room that close was amazing. Okay, we've got more news to get to in our segment. Let's go to topic number 3, Musk and Doge. What's going on there? All right. Oh, this is great. Good news. Good news. Imagine for a moment that right-wing activists were throwing Molotov cocktails at electric charging stations. Imagine conservatives were firebombing Tesla dealerships across the country. The media would be in a complete meltdown. We'd have wall-to-wall coverage, congressional hearings, probably new domestic terrorism legislation. But when left-wing extremists do exactly that, targeting Elon Musk's Tesla facilities, silence, or worse, applause. On The Daily Show, the studio audience actually cheered when domestic terrorism against Tesla was mentioned. Even the liberal host was disturbed. Meanwhile, Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett is openly calling for Musk to be taken down as her birthday wish. This isn't just hypocrisy, it's the normalization of political violence as long as the targets are approved. And, oh, wait till you find out what Doge is up to. Now, who's not experiencing pain right now? The radical activists torching Tesla facilities. They're young, energized by their misguided ideology. But for the rest of us who deal with the daily aches and inflammation from standing up for what's right, there is a solution. Dr. Josh discovered a special turmeric extract that's 200 times more powerful than standard turmeric powder. This extract is like kryptonite to inflammation, attacking pain at its source. While the left is inflaming our nation with violence, you can reduce the inflammation in your joints and muscles. Visit goldenrevive.com/NNN to learn about Dr. Josh's turmeric hack that's helping patriots live pain-free lives. It's linked down below. All right. I am joined in studio right now by Travis Gilmore of the Epoch Times. Make sure you follow him on X. He's dropping some big bombs over there. You don't want to miss them. But Travis, we're going to be talking about, you just heard, with Elon Musk, the radical left, and of course Doge, my favorite topic. We just learned here, this came out 8 hours ago, Elon Musk's Doge blocking $52 million payment to the World Economic Forum.
Yes.
I mean, why are we paying money to the World Economic Forum?
It's unbelievable, too, when you look at all the contracts that they've cut. Doge is they are really taking a wrecking ball to this waste, fraud, and abuse.
Yeah.
And then to speak to the Teslas getting attacked, too, it's just the irony. The left was rabidly in love with this man, and now they're attacking him.
Yeah.
It's so crazy to watch the shift in perspective.
Yeah. Mike Lee, Senator Mike Lee, as Elon, writing on X, as Elon has explained, there's only one reason to set up a system like this, to make payments impossible to trace. And he was quote tweeting Thomas Sowell quotes, 4.7 trillion. And this is a New York Post headline. Doge discovers 4.7 trillion in treasury payments that were missing a critical code, traceability almost impossible. Now, Senator Lee posted this 10 hours ago, but I want to point out that this Post article came out in February 17th, so almost a month ago.
Yes.
I mean, they were not even tracking the payments at the Treasury Department. Imagine if you did that on your tax returns.
Yeah, the hypocrisy is just phenomenal.
It's unbelievable. Okay, so here is Libs of TikTok. They posted this. The Daily Show is justifying and practically celebrating the attacks on Teslas and Tesla locations, suggesting Elon deserves it. The audience erupts in cheers to footage of Teslas on fire. Now, I would normally play the clip, but we do get copyright issues with The Daily Show. So what I'm going to do for you guys, I'm going to post it, and it's on my X account. It's at the top. You can go check it out. Here's another clip from The Daily Show. Wow, you guys like domestic terror. The Daily Show audience applauds the domestic terror incidents against Tesla, disturbing even the liberal host. I mean, you can see some of this footage. We played some of this the other day. Chicago, Seattle, Las Vegas, Kansas City, all burning. This is absolutely insane.
They've taken protests to a whole nother level. And as you said, if the other side was doing this, it would be wall-to-wall coverage.
I mean, 2 years ago, there was a video of him at the Met Gala, and he's extolling, how green his company is and how he's helping humanity, and he's like the perfect left savior.
Yes.
And he was like they were laying down palm branches and waving him in like Jesus, wherever he would go.
Yes.
And now, the minute he uncovers what's happening with the Doge boys,
yes,
and they're peeling back the curtain, here's my take, and I want to see if you're on the same page. He goes in, he strips USAID of all of this money.
Yep.
And USAID is funding all of these organizations, like the Soros groups, right? Yes. And then the Soros groups come back, and the money goes to these activist groups, these paid protesters that are sitting outside the White House every day.
Absolutely.
Right? We joked about it the other day. These people are, someone says, don't they have jobs? They're actually getting paid right now by George Soros, right? We were making jokes about this. So the money trail, USAID to Soros to the activists. Well, now the activists are about to be unemployed.
Yes.
So they're like, okay, this is the last amount of money we've got in the kitty here. Just go and firebomb these Tesla shops.
Yes.
Right? and they're freaking out. What is your take?
No, absolutely. And Elon has brought this up himself. Like, how do you have a non-governmental organization funded by the government? Like, just on the face of it, this is just blatant fraud and corruption. And then the fact that people are angry that he's saving taxpayer dollars and actually helping streamline the government, we're really seeing the true colors of both politicians and those that are paying attention in the political spectrum. There's the fact that you could protest saving money. Like, I never thought we would see this day.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense in clown world, but I mean, President Trump is fixing all that, and pretty soon these organizations are going to be out of money. They're going to have to go back to the drawing board and figure out where they can get, $52 billion payments.
Yes.
Like, that's, and people complain. They're like, wait a second, it's only $1 billion. It's only 1% of the government's, expenditures. Yeah. 1% of the government expenditures, when you're talking about trillions of dollars, it's a lot of damn money.
Yes. And we also saw with what Doge uncovered how this leftist media has been funded. It's unreal the way the money would flow into this. And I've watched for years. We're fighting for access, just trying to be real journalists and actually talk to these people. And I've wondered for years, like, why do these certain organizations always get that access? And now Doge is showing us. We see the contracts, $12, $13 million to Politico. And it's really interesting the way one side could say they're essentially just buying influence, and that it's tough to argue with that.
Well, what, New York Times, like all these subscriptions that they were paying for.
Pro subscriptions where it's like $4,000 or $30,000 a year, which no agency needs this. And then when you look at the good thing about Doge, you can go to doge.gov. They got all the receipts. So you can look and see all the different contracts. You can see how your money has been wasted for so many years. And it's really shocking.
What is a New York Times Pro subscription? Like, what does it get you? Like a gold-plated, New York Times delivered like in your bedroom, with white glove? Like, what can that even look like?
Yes.
I mean, the New York Times is a newspaper, and even their website. What is it like? You're going to get extra access to something else?
Yes. It doesn't make any sense at all. And then Elon has shown us that a lot of these accounts that they paid just ridiculous amounts of money for, no one ever even logged in. All this was whether you want to call it money laundering or buying influence. I mean, you got one side will just say it's incompetence, but whatever it is, it's wasting just billions and billions of dollars.
What about when you covered like all these Microsoft licenses? Did you hear about that? It's like they keep paying for Microsoft licenses that are never even used, and like Bill Gates is just collecting a paycheck. I mean, there are like tens of thousands of Microsoft licenses on computers, and then on top of it, no one's even in the offices where these computers are at. I mean, we've shown you guys the videos of these like at the Small Business Association, when the Secretary Loeffler went over there, and she's like, look at all these desks. There's nobody here.
Yes.
And they're all like brand new computers, it's all brand new cubicles, and it's actually shocking to see these empty buildings. Or when Carrie Lake the other day, we showed this to you guys. Carrie Lake was in another building for like the media. She's part of the global media thing.
Yes.
I forget what. Do you know what it is? What it is?
I know she's a big part of the VOA, of dismantling VOA right now.
Well, yeah, but she's an advisor under the Global Media Services or something.
Yes.
Which is over Voice of America.
Yes.
Because Trump was going to put her at Voice of America, but there were some roadblocks, so they had to make her an advisor to the Global Media Group or whatever it's called, and. So she goes over there to this like beautiful building. Did you see the video?
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, marble and fountains and glass and it's like opulence to the extreme. And there's freaking nobody there.
Yes.
Like I can't even understand who signs off on this?
Yes. And that's the other thing Doge is doing, is cutting those leases. And this could have some ripple effects down the line. I've talked to some commercial real estate experts about this, and the CRE market is already in trouble. And it's going to create some issues in terms of valuations here in DC and across the country. It's also going to provide opportunities. There's going to be chances for businesses to move up. We're also seeing here in DC, I want to say that we're up to $180,000, the drop in property values since Trump took office. And a lot of this is Doge and Elon. They're getting rid of these just trash government jobs, and now people are having to leave. And this is creating opportunity for those of you that do want to come in and make something real happen, really operate the government. There's pain on one side if you were doing nothing, but there's a whole lot of opportunity for those of us that were paying for nothing.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to start investing in some DC real estate, or maybe, you know, I'm thinking about, like, with all these empty buildings, like, imagine the type of studio that you could build, you know, because there's going to be so many, there are already so many vacancies.
Yes.
Like, hey, Elon, I want to rent out this space over here, and, you know,
yeah.
Boom, done. Like, you could build a beautiful studio space.
I'm sure the Department of Education's got to be thousands of square feet they're just wasting over there.
Let's take a look at what Jasmine Crockett had to say. What? Jasmine Crockett has called for her birthday, March 29th, her present to be for Elon Musk to be taken down. This woman is a lunatic. Looks like this is Laura Loomer. Found this clip. Looks like maybe, what is this? Is this like a Zoom call? It just says right there, Jasmine Crockett, U.S. representative. This is the Tesla takedown mass call. Holy cow.
I'll make sure that I keep it short, but I am truly here for very selfish reasons. Starting with, on March 29th, it's my birthday. And all I want to see happen on my birthday is for Elon to be taken down. Yes, I'll make sure that I keep it short, but I am truly...
That's just disgusting. That's what these people... we heard the same... Here's another thing. I want to run this past you. Like, Elon Musk... He's taking a lot of heat right now. And it's almost like, remember when they were always attacking Trump 24/7? Now, like, Trump's just kind of operating, and they're all focusing on Elon.
Yes.
Like, he's like the sentinel up in front taking all the bullets. What are your thoughts?
Oh, absolutely.
I hate to say that word. I don't mean taking the bullets. It was a poor choice of words, but
no, he really is taking the heat. And he's taking the heat for doing what he believes is helping humanity. So he has the courage. He's not afraid of this. But I speak to many people around DC and around the country that tell me they are fearful for Elon's safety and for President Trump's safety, that they're making such big moves. And we've seen this in the past. We started off by talking about the JFK stuff. When you start messing with people's control and their power and their money, this is when things can get really risky. And he's doing all of these things.
We just got a message here from Thomas McCullough. He dropped $1.99. He says, "What's up, Travis? Watch out for that Washington painting." Remember when we were in the East Room?
We were right under.
Oh my goodness, we're in front of this massive, like, actual painting.
The original
portrait of George Washington, and I'm just like leaning. And I'm like, you see this thing just start to rock, you know, and like all the Wranglers, the White House Wranglers were like, "Don't do that. Don't step off of it," you know.
Oh, it's the painting that Dolly Madison saved when the White House was getting burned down.
Oh my
It's just
goodness.
surreal to be there.
Yeah,
It's
really
really
is.
cool.
And so I was a little freaked out when that happened. Yeah. So what's up, Tom? Good to see you here.
Thank you, Thomas.
All right, let's keep going here. We've got some more to jump into. Justine Bateman, the actress. Tesla, she says, is literally the worst car to vandalize. It's equipped with multiple cameras programmed to record disturbances to the car. Every vandal is recorded, and most are subsequently identified.
And Elon warned about this. He said it has Sentry mode. Like, you're damaging the car at your own risk.
These people are so stupid. We've played clips here of, like, people keying, like, Teslas. And, like, they're right there, face clear as day, and they're keying the car because the camera's recording them the whole time.
Yes.
So stupid, these people. But you know what? If you want to do it, you're going to get caught. Like, bottom line. How many times have you seen videos of like, oh, this person just did this to a Tesla car. Here's the video. Go and find him. And then the internet just like hunts the guy down. And then someone shows up at his house with a camera.
Yes.
Did you do this? You know. Luke Rosiak, one of the 7 federal agencies shuttered by Doge on Friday, is the most Dogeable agency of all time, FMCS, before the pandemic. What's FMCS? Had a 9-story K Street tower for 60 employees. It Its halls were lined with oil paintings of those employees and other art purchased from the boss's wife. Inside the now shuttered federal, are you looking it up?
Yep.
Inside the now shuttered federal agency where employees live like reigning kings. What is this?
That's the Federal Mediation and Conciliation Service.
What the hell is that? Dude?
Exactly.
Wait, what? The Federal Mediation
and Conciliation Service.
All right. Can you tell me what the hell they do, Travis?
And it says that they understand that some new executive orders could impact them. They claim to be a small, independent federal agency that plays a crucial role in sustaining the American economy by preventing, minimizing, and resolving work stoppages and labor disputes. Helps avoid costly disruptions in production, services, and supply chains.
Sounds like an organization that only helps unions.
Yes,
precisely. Sounds like the unions are like, hey, call FMCS real quick and tell them to resolve this frickin' dispute right away, right? No wonder they live like kings.
Yes.
They're supported by all the union gifts that are being sent over.
Yes.
Oh, man. Vigilant Fox. Kevin O'Leary delivers a harsh reality check to Tesla car burners. You're going to rot in hell in prison. Oh, here we go. Let's listen.
Set a car on fire, you should go to jail. You're a criminal.
Any car,
I don't think we have to talk about it in any other context. Yeah. And all those cars have cameras in them, and those dealerships have cameras. You're beyond being stupid when you do that. You're going to go to jail, and you now have a government that just got their mandate. They can't wait to find idiots that do this. You're going to spend 5 to 20 years in prison. If they get them on terrorism, which I think is a stretch, they will have no parole, no shortened sentence. They'll rot in hell in prison for 20 years. And frankly, as far as I'm concerned, that's okay. Breaking in, shooting a car, setting on fire, nothing to do with the politics, nothing to do with Tesla. You are a criminal, and you should go
what about the broader
to
question
jail.
about the protest factor? I mean, you heard
What
Tim Walz.
protest?
Is it okay for an American?
Protest. They're just protesting with Molotov cocktails.
Yes.
Like, they're trying to justify this somehow.
It reminds me of the peaceful protests that we saw in 2020.
Well, this is CNN, of course,
Exactly.
we're watching, right? You remember? Mostly peaceful protests with the buildings burning behind them. Oh, wow. Okay, what else here? Let's keep tracking here. Oh, Shark Tank, Kevin O'Leary ripped by female CNN panelists. What else we have? Joe Biden, town hall, 11 hours ago.
Now he can talk.
Joe Biden, this MAGA crowd is really the most extreme political organization that's existed in American history. There's KGP. Oh boy, what's going on here?
Others are creating an environment.
Here it is, double standard, loud and clear.
This MAGA crowd is really the most extreme political organization that's existed in American history.
They are threatening political violence, and they are attacking our democracy.
These Republicans and others are creating an environment of political violence. They are putting Americans at risk.
Democrats have never endorsed political violence, but he will go to a rally and he will endorse it. This is the equivalent of playing with a loaded gun and then it backfiring on you.
That's a really bad wig, by the way.
Your reaction, Caroline?
I heard the word extremism. What's extreme is the Democrat Party today, which is now applauding this political violence and domestic terrorism taking place across our country. What's extreme is the modern day Democrat Party, who wants President Trump to turn around planes full of gangsters, rapists, murderers, and foreign terrorists to bring them back to American soil. What's extreme is the Democrat Party that wants to keep men in women's sports and bathrooms and locker rooms. And what's extreme is a Democrat Party who wants to continue to spend hundreds of billions of dollars a year on useless government agencies that have done nothing to advance America's interests. Again, I will reiterate, President Trump is standing up for common sense and basic and fundamental American values, and all of this empty rhetoric from the left will not stop this president from doing what's right for the American people.
Wow. Man, she is awesome.
She's sharp.
She really knows how to hit the points. I mean, just the press gaggle she gave today as she walked up, the reporter fires a question, boom, and she just nails them, like right away. You know, she's on point, man. She certainly is on point. Any takeaways?
I see, just like they're saying here, it's a clear double standard, and to see they just assume that the American people have such short attention spans that they're not going to see this. But from one side, you're just watching credibility erode here.
What do you think is going to happen? I mean, how can a party continue to exist with that? Like, that's their talking point. That's their thrust.
Well, you see Gavin Newsom now trying to move toward the center. And I think the real party leaders, like some of these that are talking here, this is not the leadership. This is just some of the fringe left.
They're the ones that get the talking points.
Yes, definitely. But I see the party, just as Gavin is pushing in California, that they recognize that landslide victory was no fluke. And that if they don't change their rhetoric, that they might not ever win a presidential election again. I mean, there has to be that discussion in the back rooms of the key Democrats at this point.
Okay, you bring up Gavin Newsom because he had a podcast,
Yes.
and we played some clips here. Charlie Kirk was on it,
Yes.
and Steve Bannon was on it.
Yes.
You know what? I mean, in my opinion, like there's a huge opportunity for Kirk and Bannon and others
Yes.
to red pill that audience.
Yeah.
And just drop some truth bombs and wake some people up. But what is Gavin Newsom doing by allowing their voices to to his audience?
And he's getting criticism from his main supporters. They're mad that he's given what they say is these right-wing activists a platform. But what one side sees is that he has aspirations for the White House. And he has a war chest. He's been saving money. He's definitely on the path to where he could run for higher office. And it appears that he's either angling for some of Bannon and Kirk's audience to see him more as tolerant.
Do you think that Bannon and Kirk's audience are going to be sold
No.
on any of the rhetoric that spews from his freaking direct from central casting mouth?
No, not at all. And it was interesting hearing Bannon. Bannon basically said that he was there specifically to Red Pill Newsom. He was like, no, I'm here to convert you. You're no longer going to be a globalist. You're going to be a populist. Oh, wow. And that was it. There's the two sides, though. It definitely looks like Newsom's moving toward the middle. And the way, as many times as he agreed
But
with
it's a fake move.
Oh, it's a fake move.
It's a head fake. He's like, hey, look at me. I'm a reasonable guy.
Yes.
You know, oh, don't mind the ashes smoldering behind me, right?
And he talks about the other side always doing that. Oh, they're just following the political winds. But you could make that same argument for him as well.
So the most chilling aspect of this wave of terrorism isn't just the violence itself, it's the coordinated silence about it. When Kevin O'Leary rightfully condemned these acts on CNN, what happened? A female panelist accused him of inappropriately touching for simply gesturing during the debate. Wow. This is how they change the subject. This is how they avoid condemning the indefensible. But here's what they don't understand about Tesla cars. They're equipped with multiple cameras that record everything happening around them. These terrorists are being identified and arrested one by one. The deeper question we should all be asking is this, and weigh in the comments. Why are Democrat politicians and media figures seemingly encouraging violence against an American company simply because its CEO believes in free speech and downsizing government? Is this what America has become, a place where political violence is acceptable as long as it targets the right people? Drop a comment below. And represent the resistance with our Mag Avengers collection, Next News gear available now in the merch shop link below. Wear a hat. I want to see it on the street when we take our selfie together. All right. Let's keep this party going. Travis, what do you think about the show so far?
Oh, it's amazing. Yeah, I've been a fan for a long time, so it's truly an honor. It's fun to be here.
That's really cool, man. That's really cool to hear. Okay, we've got the, I think we're going into the Department of Education now.
Okay.
Let's see here. I want to, oh wow, we've got lots of good stuff in here. Okay, I'm going to do one thing because I want to make sure we hit that point that I made earlier today. Here it is. I'm going to pin this too. Sorry, guys, a little administrative work going on here. Pardon me. Daily Show, Trump and the JFK. Okay, let's add this. DOE. Okay. Nancy Pelosi's liver just gave us $10. Oh, I do have to get to these super chats. Pardon me. Let's see. There was one above that. Okay, Michael Millard. Gary, did you hear the Sharpie? I did. Thomas McCullough. R. Boyd. MAGA. He says the salt must flow. The salty army is legion. Read. Now smash the like and share on your social media. Thank you, R. Boyd, for that. And Nancy Pelosi's liver. I love this. I love this character. I don't know who he is, but look at that profile picture. Nancy Pelosi's liver. Must be rough. Okay. It took 45 years, but today President Trump has begun fulfilling a promise that Republicans have been making since 1980. With the stroke of a pen, he signed an executive order to begin the process of closing the Department of Education, returning control of our schools to where it constitutionally belongs with the states and local communities. This is a watershed moment in American history. For nearly half a century, unelected bureaucrats in Washington have been dictating how your children should be educated, what they should learn, and what values they should hold. And what have we gotten for more than $3 trillion spent since 1979? Plummeting test scores, declining literacy, and the systematic indoctrination of our children with values most parents find abhorrent. Now, the Department of Education isn't the only failing institution causing Americans pain. Yes, our healthcare system has been pushing dangerous painkillers instead of natural solutions for decades. And just as Trump is dismantling educational bureaucracy, you can free yourself from Big Pharma's grip with canalidine. This 100% drug-free solution optimizes your body's natural painkillers, providing relief without dangerous side effects or addiction. While the education system reform will take time, your pain relief can start today. Over 1 million Americans, including professional athletes, have discovered canalidine's power. As President Trump returns education to the states, return control of your pain management to yourself at tricano.com/NNN. You'll find it linked down below. Okay, so let's get into this. This is the battle for education freedom. We played this in a previous clip, but we have to set this whole stage. And of course, it features yours truly outside the White House. Let's check this out.
Student loans and
Good afternoon, Gary Franchi from the Next News Network outside the White House. The birds are chirping. It's a sunny day. Well, back there, President Trump is taking a sledgehammer to the corrupt education system that's been failing America's children for decades. But something is happening in Illinois that could challenge President Trump's plans. I'll have more on that in a moment. But today, Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt made it crystal clear this administration isn't here to reform the system. They're here to dismantle the entire broken bureaucracy and put power back where it belongs with parents, teachers, and local communities. Now let's talk about the disaster that Trump is cleaning up. And it's a big one. We're talking about the Department of Education wasting $3 trillion since 1979. Math and reading scores have collapsed. 60% of fourth graders can't even do math. 70% of eighth graders can't read at grade level. We rank 28th in the world in math. And what are kids learning instead? Gender ideology, climate hysteria, and anti-American propaganda. Well, Donald Trump, he says enough. And today, Leavitt lit the media on fire when she called out the corrupt teachers unions for running a racket that traps kids in failing schools while their own leaders send their children to elite private academies. And when reporters try to spin it, well, she dropped the hammer. Watch this.
Caroline, what do you say to critics of the president's education plan?
Where was their criticism of our nation's failing test scores for the last several decades? The Department of Education was founded in the 1970s, and since then we have spent more than $3 trillion at this federal bureaucracy. What has been the return on that investment for the American taxpayer? Levels that are less than ideal, less than proficient. Our children's test scores are incredibly concerning when it comes to reading rates, literacy rates, math, and science test scores. The numbers prove that, and this president is finally taking much needed action to return education to where it belongs, and that's to educators closest to students in their classrooms in their respective states. We're going to have a great event here later at 4 o'clock. There will be students here, teachers here, parents here, educators, and of course governors from around the country who are very excited about taking on this responsibility to educate our nation's students.
Who's going to run federal student loans?
So the Department of Education will be much smaller than it is today. As you know, the President's executive order directed Linda McMahon to greatly minimize the agency. So when it comes to student loans and Pell Grants, those will still be run out of the Department of Education, but we don't need to be spending more than $3 trillion over the course of a few decades on a department that's clearly failing in its initial intention to educate our students.
So is the federal government going to be
it's going to
spending
be much
less?
smaller than it is. Is it not going to be shut down completely? And then I have a second question.
As I said, Pell Grants and student loans will still be run out of the department in Washington, D.C., but the great responsibility of educating our nation's students will return to the states.
And the Department of Education plays a critical role in enforcing civil rights laws that prohibit discrimination. Who's going to do that now?
Any critical functions of the department, such as that, will remain. But again, we're greatly reducing the scale and the size of this department.
Boom, there it is. No more federal cash for failing schools. No more teachers' unions dictating curriculum. No more indoctrination. It's all over. And get this, Trump is pushing for the largest school choice expansion in U.S. history. He wants parents to decide where their kids go to school, not union bosses or D.C. bureaucrats. But here is the problem. Are you ready for this? The leftist tyranny, it persists. Illinois is advancing HB 2827, a bill that would force private schools and homeschooling families to register with the state, submit medical records, and comply with state mandates under threat of fines, jail time, and even child protective services. That's right. If you don't bow to the regime's education demands, they will come after your family. Now, this flies right in the face of long-standing Supreme Court rulings that protect parental rights. And if Trump is returning education to the states, then his administration must ensure that states don't use that power to trample federally recognized rights, especially for homeschooling families and private schools. Now, some radicals who push gender ideology, CRT, and anti-American filth into public schools, they now want to dictate what private and homeschool families do inside their homes. This is about control. This is about crushing school choice and making sure no child escapes the indoctrination machine. And here is the kicker. HB 2827 won't improve education at all, not one bit. It's just a power grab to bring independent families under the state's boot. If Trump's plan is to dismantle federal overreach, then he also needs to stop state-level tyranny, because if they can force your kid into a failing school or punish you for homeschooling, then education freedom is absolutely meaningless. Parents must be in charge, not bureaucrats, not the state, and definitely not the radical left. Trump is fighting back, but he needs to hear from you. Share this, repost this, and it's time to get loud. Homeschooling families, private schools, everyone needs to know exactly what is at stake. I'm Gary Franchi with the Next News Network, outside the White House on this beautiful day, bringing you the news they refuse to cover. All right, that was my report outside the White House earlier today, just before the signing took place. I'm joined in studio by Travis Gilmore. He is with the Epoch Times. He's also a White House correspondent. He's an excellent resource. Make sure you follow him on X. He's going to be dropping some big bombshells. So, Travis, what's your initial take before we got a lot of clips to get to? We got Stephen Miller. We got more. Real quick, your take on the end of the Department of Education.
Well, I think this bodes well for a lot of states, but as you mentioned, some states this could be challenging. And I'm a homeschool family. I have a 14-year-old son homeschooled. He's watching right now. Hi, Amaru. And for families that choose homeschool, a lot of this, as you said, is to avoid that indoctrination machine. Mm-hmm. It's to actually let kids excel at what they excel at and not be forced into these ridiculous ideologies. And this is where the states are really going to have to come together, or the people in these states where there's these challenges are going to have to come together and force their state to make a change. This is like the work you're doing educating people about the potential dangers, in my opinion, is that this is the gold of this. Trump is definitely making it where it's a states' right issue. Now just we, the people, have to make sure that our states act right and take care of us.
But don't you think that there would be challenges? I mean, with respect to, okay, they're going to start restricting parents in Illinois, and I mean, that goes against so many federal protections for parents. So, I mean, but we're talking about, states versus federal. Like, there's clear delineation in the Constitution that the states have the power to do these things. But what if there is a conflict, like at the Supreme Court level? How do you rectify that action?
Yes, that's going to be a unique challenge, definitely. Yeah. And one of the other points you mentioned too is the price per pupil. If you look at California, their metric of success is how much they spend, as opposed to actual test scores or testing above standards. And that's where the country has just really gotten misguided. We've decided that the more we spend on the students, the better they are, instead of actually giving them quality education, leading them down the right path, and allowing them to develop into the human beings that can decide what they want to do with their lives.
Well, that's what happens when you have, public school educated people, and they're like, oh, well, if we're spending a lot, it must be good. But they don't even look at the actual results, and the results speak for themselves. Now, let's listen to what Stephen Miller had to say outside the White House earlier today.
Here in Washington, the Department of Education here in Washington, D.C., is overwhelmingly staffed by radical left Marxist bureaucrats who are in every way hostile to Western civilization, hostile to American interests, and hostile to our founding documents and culture. And so they are using their position and influence inside the Department of Education to try to force agendas like radical gender ideology, like critical race theory, like diversity, equity, and inclusion, and all kinds of anti-America curricula and policies on the American people, on our students, on our children. So it's taking away from parents the ability to control and direct the education of their own kids, of their own families. So what we're going to do under President Trump's leadership and direction is to return that authority to the greatest extent possible to the local level where parents can control outcomes, while at the same time making sure that no federal funds are used to support racism, to support gender ideology, or support other ideas and principles that are offensive to the American taxpayer.
It's a breath of fresh air to see that, but it terrifies me because what we're seeing, okay, we're going to pass it to the states, but what's happening in Illinois, like, okay, you want to pass it back to the states? Well, now the states are going to step up and they're going to create these, these silos where, you're going to be forced to move. Like if my kid's school doesn't abide by, the fact that in Illinois, they passed a law, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but they passed a law that said that they have to teach the virtues of queer history. Did you know this?
No.
Oh, I actually have the clip of Governor Pritzker. I'm going to find it, and I'm going to play it for you because it's so wild to hear him talking about this. I'm going to find the post. But what are your thoughts on what Stephen Miller was saying?
I think Stephen Miller is just an amazing quote machine, too. It doesn't matter what topic he's on. He's just rapid fire truth, and he knows the issues. He knows how to hit the points home. And it's always interesting. When we see him come in the briefing room or when he comes out to gaggle at the White House, you always know it's going to be good. There's going to be something that is seriously challenging the status quo.
Yeah, have you had a chance to question him yet?
I have not. No, I look forward to that, though.
Okay, I found the clip. I'm going to play it for you now. This is my governor of Illinois. Buckle up. Listen to this.
We expanded Medicaid to cover gender-affirming surgeries. We brought inclusive LGBTQ plus curriculum into our schools so that all students now learn about the contributions of queer and trans trailblazers from Marsha P. Johnson and Harvey Milk. The State Board of Education is implementing gender-inclusive policies to ensure that our schools are welcoming and affirming. And I'm proud to say that my administration is the most diverse administration in state history.
Yeah, that's my governor, okay? That's what we're dealing with in Illinois.
Yes, and we see this from a lot of the leaders on the left catering to this, what's in essentially a small percentage of the
Really it is,
population.
yeah.
They're excluding the majority perspective.
Yeah. Rapid Response 47, the U.S. Department of Education has spent $3 trillion since '79. Since then, per pupil spending has increased more than 245%, with virtually nothing to show for it. There's been basically no measurable improvement in student achievement. Rapid Response 47, why do we keep doing the same thing over and over again and expect a different result? Test scores have barely risen since 1970, despite 245% spending increase. American students' math skills slide down world rankings. U.S. children fall further behind in reading, make little improvement in math on national exam. U.S. students' reading scores drop to worst in more than 20 years. Here's another post. Gabe Gudiarni, huge win for higher education in Ohio, abolishing DEI and partisan instruction. Proud to be one of the original 13 proponent testimonies when this was the state Senate. Now it's time for Governor Mike DeWine to sign this into law. Conservatives across Ohio will be watching. Senate Bill 1 passed the House, likely head to the governor's desk a week after Senate concurrence vote. Now, I'm not entirely familiar with this, but if they're able to, abolish DEI in these institutions, I mean, it's racist. It's patently racist.
Yes.
Any way you slice it. Here we have Caroline Levitt talking about Trump delivering on his promise and returning power to families instead of bureaucrats.
McMahon, President Trump is not failing America's children. He is saving America's children with this action that he will take later today, directing Linda McMahon, our great Secretary of Education, to dismantle this federal bureaucracy that has taken more than $3 trillion from the American taxpayer since its inception in 1979. And what have we had as a result of that investment in our children's education? Declining test scores in reading, writing, and math. Proficiency levels at record lows for 8th graders, for 4th graders, at every level in every state across this country. That's why the president is returning education back to the people, to those closest to our students in our classrooms, and that is teachers and educators and parents who know what is best for their children. And we are excited about this event that will be here later in the afternoon at the White House. We will have parents and educators and students and also governors from across the country who are excited to embrace this new responsibility of educating our nation's children. I will add one more point. The Department of Education has never educated a child. All it has ever done is stolen money from the taxpayers for more regulation that has hurt our children's education. And it's about time a president does something about it. And thank God President Trump is.
Thank God indeed. Thank God indeed. We got some more clips to get to here. Following a pause in federal funding to Columbia University, they've chosen to comply with White House demands.
How the school handled. Fox News learning that Columbia University is signaling it will comply with White House demands to restore $400 million in federal funding. Trump administration canceled the grants earlier in the month over how the school handled the wave of anti-Semitism on campus. Alexis McAdams, she's been on campus a lot, almost a student.
Now, can you believe I'm in here? No degree. I'm going to ask about it, but nothing yet. But as soon as the Trump administration kind of took over here, they told these Ivy League schools, including Columbia, they were not messing around. They demanded that Ivy League schools like Columbia make major changes on their campus, including banning masks and holding students who participated in what they call illegal protests accountable. So this comes after the Trump administration launched investigations into this university last month. The video you're looking at was from the Hamilton Hall takeover and then those encampments where the students just wouldn't listen to the faculty. The Trump administration says Columbia failed to protect their Jewish students on campus, accusing the school of inaction in the face of persistent harassment of Jewish students. The administration pulling at least $400 million in the funding and the contracts, forcing them to listen up and threatening to cut billions more. The investigation, though, happens as ICE arrested Mahmoud Khalil, who we've talked about. He was the Columbia University grad who led those pro-Palestinian protests on campus. He was just arrested the other day. We now have that video that shows him being taken into custody. He's originally from Syria, now being investigated as a national security threat and looking at deportation. Dozens of other schools have been on notice by the Trump administration. Look at those pictures there. We're talking from everywhere from Harvard to the University of Minnesota.
Travis, what is your takeaway?
Really, this is why people called President Trump the negotiator in chief. when he wants to achieve things. So he can't tell Columbia exactly what to do, but he can take away the federal funding, and then immediately they get in line. And we're seeing this across the board with the men and women's sports, with the tariff negotiations. Like this is President Trump at his finest, like achieving things for the American people just with his negotiation tactics.
Let's take a look. This is moments after the executive order was signed. Beautiful. All right, folks, President Trump was just in here. I'm in the East Room inside the White House, and he just signed the executive order. Beautiful children sitting here, and the Department of Education, the steps to the dismantling of it have now officially begun. History was made today. Governors from many states were here in attendance, and lots of applause, standing ovation. Linda McMahon, of course, also here. She is possibly the last head of the Department of Education. So we'll see how this all pans out. Of course, President Trump has said that key elements of the Department of Education are not going to be dismantled. They'll be basically separated and moved to other departments, other pieces of the bureaucracy of this government, and critical pieces for special needs and other elements within the Department of Education will be preserved. He wanted to make that point very clear. So Gary Franchi right here inside the East Room of the White House. President Trump making history today, and you are a part of it. All right, folks, President Trump. Stuff right there certainly was a historic moment. The fact that like you and I were in town for the JFK file release, the dismantling of the Department of Education. I mean, I cannot wait to see what happens next, and it's just exciting to be here. Any thoughts on that?
No, to be eyewitness to such an historic administration, it's adrenaline rush nonstop, and it's super fun.
Yeah,
you can't beat this.
It really is. Like it's just really is an adrenaline. I mean, I'm living on beef jerky and and protein drinks.
Yeah.
You know, like that's and I'm just like in and out. Boom, go. We got gaggle. We got press conference, and we got to do a show, and like it's just so much happening. Here's President Trump. This is the official pool video of Trump signing the executive order.
Should I do this?
Little girl does it. Yeah, do it.
I was very lucky. I signed another document that turned out to be very good for the country, and I said, let's use that same pen. I don't know, is anybody superstitious? Ron, are you superstitious? Let's use that same pen.
Is there a superstition about using the same pen? Is he making a joke? Is that real?
I haven't heard that before.
I saw Ron DeSantis in the audience. Got some pictures of him. Here's President Trump making a statement regarding teachers.
In this country, I want to just make one little personal statement. Teachers, to me, are among the most important people in this country, and we're going to take care of our teachers. And I don't care if they're in the union or not in the union. That doesn't matter. But we're going to take care of our teachers, and I believe the states will take actually better care of them than they are taken care of right now. They'll work all sorts of systems and even merit systems. Those great teachers are going to be maybe a little bit better rewarded, or maybe that's the way it should be, but the states are going to make that decision. But we're going to love and cherish our teachers along with our children, and they're going to work with the parents, and they're going to work with everybody else, and it's going to be an amazing thing to watch, and it's really going to be something special. And I want to...
And we're not done yet. Here he's talking about returning it to the states.
We're going to be returning education, very simply, back to the states where it belongs, and this is a very popular thing to do, but much more importantly, it's a common sense thing to do, and it's going to work. Absolutely, it's going to work. And I can tell you from dealing with the governors and others in the state, they want it so badly. They want to take their children back and really teach their children individually. Probably the cost will be half, and the education will be maybe many, many times better. So we look forward to this.
We all look forward to it, yeah. Right? Here he is announcing, okay, so this is where people are getting freaked out about the functions of the Department of Education. I sort of touched on that following the signing. But here's President Trump's own words.
But the department's useful functions, and such as, and they're in charge of them, Pell Grants, Title I funding, resources for children with disabilities and special needs will be preserved, fully preserved. They're all going to be so. If you look at the Pell Grants, supposed to be a very good program, Title I funding and resources for children with special disabilities and special needs, they're going to be preserved in full and redistributed to various other agencies and departments that will take very good care of them. And that's very important to Linda, I know, and it's very important to all of us. But beyond these core necessities, my administration will take all lawful steps to shut down the department. We're going to shut it down and shut it down as quickly as possible. It's doing us no good. We want to return our students to the states where just some of the governors here are so happy about this. They want education to come back to them, to come back to the states, and they're going to do a phenomenal job. But the department's
what's
useful
interesting about
function,
this? What's interesting is that he's hacking it up. He's hacking it up and he's scattering it to all these other agencies.
Yes.
I think he's learning a lot in this process. As he's going from one agency to the next, learning where his actual executive authority limits are.
Yes.
Like, for example, with the Treasury Department and the IRS and then the USAID and all these other little bureaucracies, some of them do have a congressional mandate that have to be executed.
Yes.
So, like, for example, he can take apart the Department of Education. He can take it apart. Like I joked about, making it in the size of a closet.
Yes.
He didn't destroy it. It's still there, right? What are your thoughts?
Absolutely. And I agreed. He's learning not only from his steps here, but he learned a lot from his first administration.
Oh, yeah.
He came into this one just ripping and roaring and then is now adjusting on the fly. So they're smart enough to know that not only do we want to get this passed, we want to win the court cases down the road.
Exactly.
And so it's really, it's ingenious strategy. It's brilliant the way they're making this work.
Well, all of a sudden they throw a legal, roadblock in his face for something else, and then they just basically revealed their cards.
Yes.
And he goes, okay, guys, take note of what they just did here and anticipate it or find a way to do it without having to deal with that same legal roadblock. It's like you said, learning on the fly.
Yes.
It's really exciting to witness this.
And he's got a lot of good people around him.
Oh, yeah. Let's see. Today we take the historic action.
Very historic action. Today we take a very historic action that was 45 years in the making. In a few moments, I will sign an executive order to begin eliminating the Federal Department of Education once and for all.
And that's what he did. So what President Trump did today wasn't just about shutting down a bloated federal bureaucracy. It was about something much more fundamental. It was about asking a critical question. Who should decide how Americans' children are educated? Should it be a distant bureaucrat in Washington, D.C. who's never met your child, or should it be you, your local community, in your state? The results speak for themselves. Despite spending more per pupil than almost any nation on earth, 70% of American 8th graders aren't proficient in reading or math. The Department of Education hasn't just failed, it's actively harmed generations of Americans and made the unions very, very rich. But here's what the media won't tell you. President Trump specifically ensured that essential programs like Pell Grants, Title I funding, and resources for disabled children will be preserved. They'll just be in other agencies. So, I ask you, in the comments, If government control of education has been such a resounding success, why are our children falling behind? Drop a comment below. And support the Next News Network by hitting our merch shop at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com. Grab a coffee mug, grab a hat, grab a shirt, and, just fill up some brew in the morning and watch us at the Next News Network. Okay, looks like we've got some our Boyd gifting 5 new members. Shelly Belly and Azure Sky, Rick Hunt, Andy Fox, and Transer Z have now become members. Now you guys can see me walking through the rain after I left the White House. Did you get caught in that rain?
I did, a little bit, yeah.
Like, you should have seen it, man. Like, Linda McMahon was walking out of the West Wing. And I'm just like standing there on Pebble Row. What do they call it?
Pebble Beach.
Pebble Beach,
yeah.
That's what they call it. So I'm standing there on Pebble Beach, and I'm talking to somebody, and I look over, and it's Linda McMahon, like, walking towards me. I just pull up my camera, and I recorded it, posted it to X right away. But then all of a sudden, like, the rain starts coming down. I'm like, oh boy, here we go. And I saw them all, like, huddled by her press tent that she was. And I asked them, they had these umbrellas that had, like, the presidential seal on them. I'm like, you guys got any extra umbrellas? and then I left, and I went to the Secret Service booth, and the rain started coming down. Like, hey, you guys got any, like, lost umbrellas back there or confiscated, like the TSA? And they're like, there might be some. And then this guy was, like, legitimately trying to help me. And then he looked at the other guy, and the other guy's like, don't give him an umbrella. Like, he knew there were umbrellas back there. Yeah. Don't give that guy an umbrella. I'm like literally asking Secret Service to, like, violate it. I lost my umbrella.
And the Secret Service team's amazing.
Yeah,
I'm super impressed by them.
They really are great. Yeah. So now all of our members can watch me walking in the rain. I filmed a video of me leaving the White House doing just that. Looks like Craig has just gifted a membership, and Raymond was the recipient. So thank you, Craig, and welcome Raymond to the Next News Network. So normally we would have 5 segments in the show, and I think we're going to have to pick this up tomorrow because it is already 11:20 here, and I want to keep going, but I mean, I have literally been at the White House all day. You've been digging through the JFK archives. I know you've got more research and breaking down of those documents ahead of you.
Yes.
I mean, you were up till what? You said 4 a.m.?
4 a.m. going through the digitized stuff the first night. And I'll do something similar tonight. I've got more digitized stuff to go through. I want to go through all these pictures I just took today and then be right back at the archives 9 a.m.
Yeah.
There's no time to sleep or eat, but we're having a lot of fun.
No, there's no time, and who knows what tomorrow holds. Have we even received any press guidance yet?
I had not. When we started the show, we had not.
Yeah, normally, I think about now, let's take a look and see what the press guidance looks like for tomorrow. And, oh, here it is. Okay, 9:22 for Friday. Okay, so at in-town pool call, okay, so New Media's Outkick tomorrow in the pool. In-town pool call is at 9, 3:40 out-of-town travel pool call.
Okay.
So there's something going on at 3:40.
Yep.
At 11 a.m., the President and the Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, deliver remarks in the Oval Office. That's White House pool. So at 5 o'clock, the President departs White House en route to Joint Base Andrews. And where is he going? I don't even know. Am I allowed to even say this stuff? Well, it says for immediate release, so it's not.
Oh yeah,
secret.
you're good then.
Yeah. Okay, so he's departing Joint Base Andrews at 5:20 en route to Morristown Municipal. 6:10 arrives in Morristown Municipal. President departs Morristown at 6:20, and then he's going to Bedminster.
Okay.
6:30 he arrives at Bedminster. Okay. So it looks like there will be a Marine One opportunity, open press, at 5 o'clock. Wait, no, wait. South Lawn. Yeah, he departs to go joint base. So that's South Lawn. So 5 o'clock tomorrow. Are you going to be around?
I'll be at the archives. I'm going to miss the departure because they'll kick me out at 5.
Yeah.
So I'd love to be there because a lot of times he does come talk.
He
and
does.
It's a really cool experience.
It really is. It's something to behold. And hopefully the weather will hold out too.
Yes.
But have you ever done the Marine One? Have you experienced that yet?
Yeah, and multiple times when he's come and talked to us. So it's been really good.
Yeah, and it's like a horde of angry wolves.
Yes.
That press room, that press core,
Yes,
is all by that door, and they are just like waiting. And as soon as it's like pool coming through,
Yes.
and then it's like reporters and whatever, and everyone just literally runs. People run.
Yes.
To get to that spot.
I don't know if people understand how fiercely competitive the White House press corps is.
Yeah.
Everyone's cordial and collegiate for the most part. There's a few different personalities,
Yeah.
but it's insanely competitive. People on ladders and stools, everyone fighting for
stools,
space.
And you get like a little nudge.
Yes.
Like if you're standing in a space and they will physically create a barrier so you can't get through.
Yes.
Like even today in the East Room, there was a woman who was standing, doing something, and I don't know what the hell she was working on her phone the whole time. And I asked her if she was the pool reporter person, the text person. She said, no, not today. And then she said, who are you? I'm like, I'm just a reporter. She's like, well, we need reporters too. I'm like, thanks. Thanks a lot. But yeah, she was kind of there was a point where I felt there was some tension, because the pool is very, very territorial.
Yes.
Beyond, when I tried to get into the East Room and I'm walking along the back wall and stepping over risers, they're like, you can't be here. You're not pool. I'm like, well, no, fuck you. You know, I can be here because it doesn't sit, there's nothing that says I can't be here.
Pool gets in first, but they have no right to take everything.
Right.
Absolutely. I agree with you there. And thank you, Caroline, and thank you, President Trump, for putting us in the pool. We are in the rotation. We're super grateful.
Oh, yeah. I got an email, and I'm like, I saw that Epoch Times was in the pool, and I immediately text Travis. I'm like, dude, congratulations. And we got on the phone. I'm like, dude, I'm so happy for you. I'm like, I need the full download. Tell me what happens. And he's like, well, I'm actually in California right now. I'm like, no, you're in California.
I was there for my son's birthday, so it was super cool.
That's awesome.
But it's been really good getting to know Caroline and the press team. And as we build more relationships, this administration is open to your audience. They want to hear from the American people. And it's really fun to be able to represent everyone and to be there and do our thing.
It really is. It's really, really, really amazing. So that's our show tonight. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. I don't think we're going to have a show tomorrow because I'm going to go and cover Marine One. I'm going to try and do some more live hits for you guys while I'm at the White House. We've had Travis Gilmore in studio from Epoch Times. Make sure you follow him. So again, no show tomorrow, but expect a lot of content to come out. I've already been brainstorming with our team on what to do and how to bring it to you. Make sure you follow us on X. Make sure you follow Travis on X, especially with what he's about to release. He's got 75, 100 documents plus more tomorrow from JFK files that have never been seen. He's really pushing the release. There's nobody else doing that right now, but Travis certainly is. So make sure you follow him. So we'll see you on the next Raw feed when I'm back in Chicago. Hopefully the weather's better in Chicago too. So love you guys. Have a good night.